Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy, do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
They got the wrong guy, and the dog was biting him.
He roughened him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
As the agent for Peyton Ansley John Milton, you are indicating to me that you're quite familiar with Peyton Ansley John Milton, and that's basically you. Is that correct?
I am the agent authorized to represent Peyton Ansley John Milton, as written in all capital letters.
All right, and you understand for my purposes, that language doesn't make any sense. So
No, I do not.
I understand. Okay, well, I'm telling you that. And so I am, until you disabuse me of the motion, or the notion, I am inclined to believe that you are both the agent and the person. So. And it's
I'm not a person, I am one of the people, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict. All my audio levels are completely jacked up this morning. I don't know why. Test 1 2. Check 1 2. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Check. All right. I don't know why we only test to 1 and 2 because all the other numbers are just as important. Check. 1 2 3 4. 1 2 1 2 3. Okay. I guess that's it. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict. Good morning. Good Thursday podcast Thursday morning. Oh my goodness. It has been a night and a half. I guess we'll start off with just saying thoughts and prayers for all those people in Florida who once again just got hammered by a hurricane in what seems like just a couple of weeks. Unbelievable. I did check in with Dr. Joe just because he's the only person I know, and he's right there. He was in Sarasota. There was a point where I was looking at the map of the forecasted path for the storm. I was right before it was making landfall, and I basically just zoomed in. I'm like, the line goes through Dr. Joe's apartment, the one I stayed in Sarasota. It's like if you could zoom in, the apartment would be covered by the center line where it was. It did turn a little bit. Reached out to Dr. Joe. Sadly, I didn't know this. Sadly, they lost that apartment in Helene. And they've all evacuated to areas of safety far away. He's working with a hospital further away, so he's up with his wife out of state. Kids able to move out of the way. So I don't know how their home does because they've got a home not far from there as well. But it was good to check in with him and make sure he was safe. So that being said, it was rough. Laura, you know, and his family okay too. We've got, I think Brandy was inland. She was okay. I have not heard from Jules yet, or Trial TV Live. We're hoping that they were okay because there was just crazy tornadoes. So we're hoping to get updates from everybody there. Anyway, it seems surreal. I mean, seeing pictures on the news, it's like I've driven those streets. I remember that view, but there were more buildings when I did it. Absolutely crazy. All right. Good morning to you. First of all, let's start with that. We're gonna go to court in just a minute, but first let's do what we normally do on every morning. Trial TV is live. Excellent. They're test streaming live right now. That's wonderful. Jules lost power and internet. Hope she'll check in soon. That's great. I think Brandy was up high. She was okay. Melissa and Matthew, I have not heard from them yet. I know that they were, in addition to everything else they're fighting, you know, it's like every other Floridian, they have other battles that they're fighting as well. Do you have to have a ham radio license if you not broadcast? Just Teresa, no, but it is a $10,000 fine if you bump the PTT button. And I mean, this little button right here on the side, the push to talk, that's channel
mode.
That would be very expensive. Unfortunately, I was listening last night to the radio net, the ham radio net that's going on in Florida as well. And a lot of people with these radios that don't have licenses were just jumping on, just thinking they could just talk. And that is not how it works. It was causing a ton of problems. I will say this radio is not for the... You can't just turn it on and expect it to work. You literally have to start programming frequencies and offsets and PL tones. Just there's a lot. The memories on here. First of all, this is made in China, so the menu system I think makes sense in Chinese, not so much in the United States. So it takes a little bit of a learning curve, but I love it. I mean, I've learned it. Works pretty good for me. All right. Where are we? We're almost going to court, so we need to let's do the birthdays, shall we? Let's do the birthdays. Birthday wishes are closed. There we go. Let's see. I'm just checking. I think I've got. Are the seats working? Yes, seats are working. Okay. Tornadoes, no one's prepared for them, especially the number of tornado warnings there were in Florida yesterday is second highest, only surpassed by, what was it? I forget what it was, Alabama? I forget, in 2011. They had like Florida had like 127 warnings yesterday. It was just another warning.
I saw a chicken fighting.
But this is the important part. We have Axel, Damien, Chris, Brenda, all celebrating their birthdays. I love that. Oh, it was almost. We could have done A, B, C, D. Could have done alphabetical. In my head, I put it together. Rebecca, I'll check my phone here in just a minute after we sing. Let's do this, everybody. I know a lot of people are waking up to a lot of devastation and damage, and sadly, there was a loss of life as well. There was some loss of life as well. And, but other people, we have to sing to Sarah Boone. I'm sorry, we have to put Sarah on here. It's almost like we're family. We've followed her for that long. Join with me, if you will, in singing the birthday song by raising your voice with those of your neighbors, projecting your voice to the back of the room, stand up. It sounds better when you stand up. If you can, you don't have to. If you, obviously you're in an environment that you can't, like you say, you're driving, don't. But let's warm up together, if you will. La 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 la. There we go. Excellent. We're going to sing happy birthday to Axel, Brenda, Chris, Damien, and Sarah. There we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Axel, Brenda, Chris, Damien, and Sarah Boone. Happy birthday to you. Just Teresa, heavenly birthday for Brenda. Thank you very much for sharing that. Damien, 3-year-old grandson, will love this. Damien, happy 3rd birthday. That is awesome. You share it with an infamous person. Happy birthday. My voice sounds roomier today. Settings change. I completely adjusted the audio. So, hello to everyone watching from Scotland. Yes, hello to everyone in Scotland. Thank you for watching. Margaret, thank you very much. I think you're actually in Scotland. Oops, forgot my daughter Peyton is 3 today also. We can sing to Peyton. Let's, the granddaughter, by the way. Sorry, I just gave you an extra kid. A little interlude, and then we're gonna sing to Peyton. I think that's everybody. Chats are not on screen. That's my fault. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, 3-year-old Peyton. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Peyton. 3 is a big year. It's probably the best birthday ever, I think, when you're 3, because that's like the first one you remember. I know, I think you'll remember the other ones now, but later you won't. That's how it works. Peyton, happy birthday. Appreciate everyone who has a birthday celebrating today. Minus Sarah. I'm sorry I have to do that, Sarah. Everyone minus Sarah, please help yourself to free pancakes at Denny's at Waffle House Village Inn. The commissary. I guess they might. If you ask nicely, Sarah, they might make you a special order. But that would be wonderful. Sarah's not a big breakfast eater. I missed half the drum solo. Jennifer Juniper. Not happy birthday. Happy Internet Day. Jennifer, you won the internet today. You were first in chat and you were prompt. I might say you were very quick on popping right in. You nailed the drum solo as well. But that will not save you from owning the internet. Today we're going to sentence you to internet ownership. The sad part about this, Jennifer, is I need you to sort of focus on Florida a little bit, see if you can get everything back up and running down there. I realize you've got to wait up for the power guys to get the power in before you can fix the internet. But that is also technically part of your duties. So you might get a few calls from that area. Don't be surprised. Just let them know you're working on it and then work on it. Thank you, Jennifer Juniper, for taking on that heavy workload today. Oh, my goodness. My brother in Lakeland did okay last night, says Nosy Rosie. That is good to know. Watching those tornadoes. I was watching with Ryan Hall, y'all, yesterday, and he was just picking up the tornadoes from the Florida Department of Transportation cameras. It's just like, here's traffic, and in the background we have an F5 tornado ripping through. I don't know what it was. I wouldn't be surprised if they have some higher damage ones. I'm thinking definitely F3 at a minimum. But just looking, it was crazy damage. All right, hold tight. Let's see. I told Rebecca I was going to check my phone. There it is. Let's see. It's a tip on an upcoming case. The Louisiana TikTok star, known on social media as Mr. Prada, faces death penalty. I'll have to look into that. It depends what the fact pattern is on this. Looks like 2 victims. That's interesting. I will. First of all, I want to see when it all happens, because that makes a big difference. If it's just breaking news right now. Okay, we'll have to see. That might be something we could keep an eye on. Good morning, Thomas. Good morning. Grandparents live in Fort Pierce, where the tornadoes hit the hardest. Have not heard from them yet. Oh my goodness. I cannot imagine the pins and needles. Hopefully you get in touch shortly. I know for a lot of people, the communications are down just because the power's out. But hopefully that's the case, and they'll be able to rapidly get communication into and out of that area so you can get some updates. Let me know if we need to do anything with the podcast, changing things up, because that takes priority. Thank you, Debbie. The clip for Nate the Lawyer. I'll have to watch it. I have not watched it yet. We've got a couple friends down in Florida that we're hoping to get updates from on Facebook here soon. Did you remember YouTube meeting last night? I did. And I don't know how much I can talk about. Let me tell you this. It started by them saying, is it okay if we record this? I'm like, sure. And are you aware that you're not allowed to do screenshots or record any of this? I'm like, sure. So that's where it is. They can record it, but I cannot. But we had a meeting of the minds a little bit, and I did apologize to her. I said, I'm sorry. This might come across that I'm like YouTube's biggest hater in this call, and I'm not. I love the platform. I love what it has made available for me. I've waited for almost 2 years to talk to a person at YouTube about issues and questions and comments and little things like that. And And so I had to bring it all up. It was just like, I'm sorry, this is not a gripe session, but I really only have one chance to get my questions answered. And today's the day, and you're the person. So I got a lot of, I'll get back to you on that. A lot of my questions that are important to me. It seems like their big push, and I don't blame them for this. I mean, I told them, my goals for the channel, involve supporting my family and everything else. And so they're like, well, here's the ways you can make more money. And they started off with, ads. Put ads in your videos. We see you're not using the ad. We can stick ads all throughout your videos, and you can make 25% more on ad revenue if you would do that. I said yes, but I would lose all but like maybe the hardcore 25% of you who would be willing to sit through an ad or who have YouTube Premium. I'm like, no, I don't want ads. I will not put ads in there. I'm like, all right, so. You've got the, after the fact, it does put ads in the videos if you watch on replay. Unfortunately, that's not something I can change. And they said, well, we've got this new thing I think would be perfect for you based on your genre. We've got these sensitive ad categories where you can run gambling and alcohol ads during your live stream. I said, you know the name of my channel, right? It's Recovery Addict. Recovery Addict. Don't you think it would look a little disingenuous, maybe, to run liquor and slot machine ads during a Recovery Addict live stream? So I said, that's a non-starter here. And I eventually got to the point where as they were suggesting every possible way for me to earn more money through ads, I said, I don't think you understand. First of all, I think I understand my audience better than you do. I realize you have the big data and you have like YouTube audiences in general data, but this audience is different. First of all, this audience wants to watch what is happening right now, not what happened 15 seconds ago. We're watching live court because we want what is going on right now. If I know that because when we're on replay watching something, the number of people watching are next to none. It goes down to nothing. Nobody wants to be on replay if we're 3 days behind. It's just not fun because everyone's spoiled it for you already, and that's understand. So I'm said, look, I don't mean to be rude. I cannot make this more clear. The ads are a no-go for me. If I could remove all the ads, I would. And she's like, okay, all right. And so we started talking about other stuff. Yeah, it was interesting. They provided some good information. A lot of what they offered me is something that I've already looked at and analyzed and said no. They're like, oh, you can push your products and get people to buy them. Like, no, I'm not. I just, yeah. I wasn't as impressed with the call as I thought I would be. I got on there and said, hey, I'd love to see more stats about my channel. I realized they give me lots of analytics, but I said I'd love to see just like how are we doing as a channel. I mean, give me percentiles. Where do we fall? Amongst other channels, and they don't have any of that. So, all right, we're ready to start court today. For those that are curious, this is the Georgia v. Ferris. The woman you just saw looking over her shoulder of the lawyer is charged with.
Bring jurors in?
No, Your Honor.
Is that the judge?
Not for defense. All right, go ahead and bring him in.
Who's the guy in the dapper jacket? That's not the judge. That can't be the judge. That's got to be the court clerk, the recorder or something.
I already told her. There's just a few things.
Anyway, I'll tell you more about the call later. It was good. It was good. I'm glad we had it.
Shane, where's that little note?
Shane. Dang it, Shane. Where'd my note go?
I keep
getting the date wrong. One thing we forgot to do was talk to the jury about with all the other stuff going on. So the 17th.
I don't know what we're going to do about the juror first thing in the morning. We have not heard anything yet. Apparently, we keep the juror.
Next Thursday. Right, next Thursday.
The witness on the stand right now is, I believe, Chris. He's one of the two sons. He's the talkative one. He has spilled the beans about everything under the sun. He's going to keep him. He's going to keep him to show the chief who's the boss, and then make him an alternate. That's what he'll do. Tinez, I think you're right. The judge will make him an alternate at the end. Oh, yes. I think we're on day 4 today, Josh. Can I get an update? Day 4. I pinned it, but it was it was too quick. Brandy just checked in, saying she's okay. Milton's passed through his long and scary night, but we're okay.
A couple things to address with y'all before we get started. I was going to speak with y'all specifically and talk a little bit more about the day we're talking about taking an extended lunch break, and then with the other things that occurred at the end of the day, we didn't bring y'all, I didn't talk to y'all about it. So next Thursday, the 17th, someone needs to do an appointment. As I said, I need to do an appointment too because I missed mine from my trial last week in the hurricane. So let's plan on at least a 2.5-hour lunch. So from say 11:30 to 2. And if y'all need to make any other kind of appointments, if y'all can get it in that window. I've talked with the attorneys. We can't prognosticate a week in advance exactly what we're going to be working on. If it's a good logical day for us to break and not do anything, then that may occur. We'll have a better idea about that probably Tuesday, Wednesday, as opposed to Thursday, and we might take a half day off. I don't want to get behind. So if I think we're making progress and we don't need to come back that afternoon and there's a logical stopping point, then that's what we'll do. I'm not promising anything there, but that's something that I was thinking about doing in the middle of the case anyway. That might be a good logical time. But for now, we're just planning on 2.5-hour window, and if you have an appointment you need to schedule, do it then. Another thing, we had an issue yesterday, and I don't know that everyone knows what was going on, but I don't really need to go into details with y'all, but I want to make sure that everybody understands that you're not supposed to be working. Okay? This is your job till this case is over. If you're some manager and there's some paperwork or stuff you need to do in the evening, that's okay, but you're not to be working another full-time job, which was an issue that we had yesterday. The bigger concern to me was that it was a county employee, and the county manual is pretty clear that they're not supposed to work, and they get paid leave off without any repercussions. And so I have talked to the chief of the fire department and straightened that issue out, which I expect is going to cause more discussions among HR and the fire department. But for now, the big boss says that you are good to be with us for the rest of the trial. All right. And I don't mean by me. I mean the head chief of the fire department. All right. Anything else we need to take up?
I think I'm.
All right, go ahead.
Didn't get rid of
Resume, Ms. Frankish.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Ferris, you're still under oath from yesterday, okay?
Okay.
Anybody else's boss needs a call from me.
Anyone
I'll be
else's
happy
boss
to do
need a
it.
call. I'll call the boss too.
I wanted to ask you a few questions about your dad. Did
Thank
you
you,
ever
Hannah.
know your dad to be suicidal at,
No.
any point in his life?
That was a
No.
quick response.
Have suicidal ideations?
No.
You testified yesterday that you didn't like to go to the farm very much, and you attributed that to your parents' relationship was one of those factors. Did you ever share that information with your dad?
Yes.
How did you do that?
I wrote an email to him after he was in the hospital. I would say somewhere around May of 2018. And because it's my dad, it was easier for me to communicate what I needed to say in an email because I couldn't really get through it in person.
And what is it that you communicated it to him?
I told him why I don't come up there as much.
Did he ever respond to you?
Yeah. Yes.
Did that response give you a glean into his state of mind at the time?
Yes.
How so?
He told me that he was very depressed, and he said that each day with my mother was pretty much the worst day of his life versus the day before. Like every day was the worst day of his life.
Chris, did you have anything to do with the murder of your father?
No.
Did you have anything to do with the concealment of your father and the grandfather of your children?
No.
That's all I have for you. Thank you.
The grandfather of your children it's a weird way to put that. Strong finish. Now we got cross-examination. This could go all over the place. There's been so much he's talked about.
And Your Honor, it might be best to go ahead and turn the TV on. I'm going to kind of go back and forth between the Elmo and the computer. But maybe start with the Elmo. Good morning, Chris. My name is John Luke Weaver, and I, along with Michael Ray, represent your mother. I want to go back and you spoke at length about a lot of things yesterday, but I want to go into more detail on some of them. And first I want to go kind of back to your childhood and more of the family dynamics between the brothers and the sisters growing up. So you're the oldest. You were born in 1979 or 1980?
1980.
1980. And then who was born second?
My brother Scott.
Okay, what year was he born?
1983.
All right. And then what about Emily?
Emily was born, I believe, in, would have been, I think 1989, I believe so.
I believe.
Okay, what about Amanda?
She was born basically a year and a half later, so it would have had to have been 1990. It could have been 1988, 1989, or 1989, 1990. I should probably know that.
So maybe your sister Amanda was born in 89, and Emily was born in 88 or 87?
Possibly.
Okay. All right. So you grew up in Hoover for the most part?
Correct.
And let's talk a little bit about the personalities of the kids growing up. So how would you say your personality was? How about, it's always, self-introspection is also often a very tough thing to do. So I'll ask you last. How about Amanda's growing up? Introvert, extrovert? Was she funny, not funny? Things like that.
Very outgoing and great personality, very funny.
All right. What about Emily?
Emily was, I think, a little bit more reserved, but very smart, very witty, and just very, very kind.
Okay. And how about Scott?
Scott was just a lot of fun to have as little brother. He just a sweet soul.
Okay. What about, so how'd everybody do in school?
I did fairly well. I had my moments when I could have done better. My brother had a few issues. I'm not sure what that was. I wasn't, in the part of those discussions, but I think it was maybe some learning difficulties type thing, possibly. But I don't really know.
He's just getting him talking.
My sisters, both, from what I understand, what I remember, did very well in school.
All right. And what about behavioral growing up? Who was well behaved and maybe less well behaved?
We were all very well behaved.
Never got in trouble?
We got in trouble.
For being well
Anybody
behaved?
have, temper, any anger issues? Never.
No.
Not at all growing up.
I don't remember that. No.
You don't remember your brother having any anger issues and a short temper as a child?
No.
Okay. Do you remember? Scratch that. So you moved.
Scratch that. Oh, that was terrible. I apologize.
To Atlanta in 95?
Correct.
Alpharetta, roughly.
Yes, sir.
All right. And tell me what you remember about that move.
Scratch all that. Oh, that was terrible. I apologize.
I keep forgetting that one.
I remember it being a little hard on myself. It was in high school. But I was very excited. I loved Atlanta. I loved the Braves. I loved visiting Atlanta. So the move itself was very smooth. It was exciting. We were moving to a new home, and my dad was moving up in his career, and I remember being a good time.
Do you remember anything about why your dad was moving to Atlanta, moving the family to Atlanta?
Because of his career.
Right, but why? Why was your dad, do you know why your dad was chosen to open the Burn Foreman branch in Atlanta? Did you know any of that from your experience as a teenager?
I know my father was a very brilliant attorney and a very smart man and very good at his job.
Did he volunteer? In your experience? You don't know?
I don't know.
And that's fine. Now, talking about your yesterday you mentioned that everything kind of prior to about 2008 was good with the family. Mm-hmm. I think that's the way you would have described it. So can you tell me, I've heard and maybe understood that holidays were kind of a big deal. Can you explain to me, how you guys would celebrate Christmas? You mentioned a fond memory yesterday of Christmas, but if you could explain to the jury.
Everybody was always just happy, and my mama would cook. My daddy would...
What would she cook?
Oh, breakfast. We'd have a big breakfast and all the good, stuff, and bacon, eggs, and then she always would make a Christmas meal. It was very nice, and my father would always have his Bing Crosby on in the morning, and the night before we'd watch Christmas Vacation every year, and it was good times.
National Lampoons.
And this was from the time you were a child all the way until the final Christmas in 2017?
Yes.
And it's my understanding too that how would your mom decorate the house? Would there be a little or a lot?
A lot.
Could you explain a little bit?
We would not have just one Christmas tree. We would have a few of them. It was always decorated very tasteful. It brought a lot of joy to me personally.
Okay. And let's talk too about activities growing up. Did you guys play any sports? Were y'all involved in school activities, things like that?
Yes.
Like what?
Growing up, I played baseball. My dad actually would assistant coach he would make time for that, even though he was very busy. My brother played sports. He played baseball. My brother played a little bit of football in high school until he broke his leg. I know my sisters, Amanda did color guard, I believe. And then I think Emily was, did some work with some athletic programs in high schools. I think she was maybe a manager for like the wrestling team, those things like that.
So would the whole family kind of participate, go to the games, your mom included?
For my games, yes.
Your mom would go to your games?
Yes.
Scott's games?
Yes.
Emily and Amanda, anything and everything?
Yes.
So growing up for you, your mom was always there, yes?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And growing up, even as a child, you would determine that your relationship with your mother was a loving relationship. Take your time.
I would say that's true.
And you would also describe your relationship between your mother and your brother Scott as a loving relationship.
I would describe it as a loving relationship.
And with Emily as well.
Yes. Yes.
And Amanda.
Yes.
And your father.
I feel like we should all be laying on the couch for this. White couch. Soft lighting.
So in the 1995 move, I want to ask this, and if you have any memory of anybody that moved over from Birmingham, the Birmingham office, to Atlanta with your father.
I'm not sure if it was then, but I know that his secretary came over.
Okay. Do you know her name?
Oh, yeah.
What's her name?
Angela Phillips.
Okay. So have you known her pretty much your whole life?
Not my whole life, but I'd say majority of my life.
Okay. Do you remember back then, did you ever spend any time with Angela?
No. I mean, not other than maybe seeing my father at work, or if there was like a Christmas. I remember in high school after we moved to Atlanta, they would host the Christmas party for the firm actually at my parents' house, and I remember her kind of being involved in getting food there for it and somewhat, but that's been so long ago. But no, not like a lot of time, no.
Okay. So I'm going to ask this question, and I just want you to kind of tell me when you found out. But yesterday you testified that you started knowing there were troubles with your parents' marriage in the fall of 2008. And I believe it was an incident where you thought something was just kind of weird with Ted Wiley.
Yeah.
And that is his name, right?
Yes.
Okay. But were you aware in the 90s that your father was in a relationship with Angela Phillips?
No.
When did you become aware of that?
I never became aware of that.
Do you believe that to be true or not?
I don't believe it to be true, but I don't know. I mean...
You don't know that she's made a statement to detectives in this case that she had an affair with your father?
No.
I was today years old when I found that one out.
So let's move into kind of the mid-2000s. Let's talk about where everybody, as we've moved into adulthood, you're in your early mid-20s, and then your younger sisters are still kind of in their teens, and your brother, he's also in his mid-20s. Let's talk about where everybody went in their lives. So where did you go, and what kind of work did you move into? And when did you get married?
I got married in June 2004 to Kendall Lee. She was pregnant, and we moved to Maine. I eventually...
What line of work were you in at the time?
Painting.
Here or in Maine?
Either one, both.
When I went to Maine, I actually worked for LL Bean. I worked as in their returns processing center as a
bean counter.
I don't even remember really what it was, but like a technician, kind of like processing returns. We had a team, and this is a catalog company, and so it's a lot of mail order. So when people return things, we process them, that kind of thing.
Okay. So I do want to kind of go back in time. So this is about 2004, so you'd be about 24-ish by that point. But let's go back in time more towards 1998, 1999. That would have been when you went to college, yes?
Correct.
All right. And you went to the University of Alabama?
Yes.
Did you graduate?
No, sir.
All right. Why not?
I didn't do as well as I should have, and basically, eventually, my parents told me I need to come home.
Okay.
I also
it was your father who told you to come home, yes?
I don't remember which one, but I mean, he would have. I assume so.
Well, I'm asking for your memory. When he told you, could you tell he was disappointed in you?
Oh, yes.
And how did you know that?
I don't remember specifically. Okay. I just kind of remember the feeling of that, dealing with that.
And how did you deal with that?
I don't know. I know that I wanted to strive to improve myself. That's kind of how I remember dealing with it. When I became a father, and I wanted to, be a good dad like he was, and I thought that would make him proud.
Okay. Now, you have an issue with alcohol, yes?
Yes.
Okay, and you've been to rehab, yes, in Nashville?
Well, I went to rehab first in North Georgia and then continued my treatment in Nashville.
Okay. Were you already struggling with addiction back then?
No.
Okay. So you move up to Maine and work for LL Bean. How long were you up there?
Right at 3 years.
So from 04 to 07.
Mm-hmm.
And why did you come back in 07?
My wife and I had made the decision to move back to Atlanta.
And this is Kendall Lee, not Jenna, correct?
Right, Kendall Lee. In the process of that move, we had to sell the house in Maine. Kendall Lee had come down here to go ahead and get the girl. They wanted to enroll them in school. And that was kind of I'd have to say from memory, maybe 6-week period of time when I was in Maine. She was down here, maybe a little less than that. It's hard to remember. During that time, my grandmother actually suffered, I believe, a heart attack and had to have open heart surgery.
This was about 2007.
Correct.
And let me stop you right there real quick, because you brought that up, your grandmother. She had a number of years, and she subsequently passed, correct?
Correct.
And this is your mother's mother.
Mm-hmm.
What was her name?
Kay Walker.
Kay Walker, okay. So Miss Walker, she had heart surgery in about 2007, 2008. You mentioned earlier yesterday that your mother would go and stay gone kind of in the late 2000s for months at a time. But it's in fact true that she wasn't up there with Ted Wiley. She was with her mother, who was very sick. Yes? And if you don't know, you don't know.
I think both can be the answer to that question.
Both is your answer?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But also with her mother.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So going back to, you moved down here 2008 with your wife. Go ahead.
During that period of time, I think our relationship kind of fell apart. And when Kendall Lee was in Atlanta and I was still in Maine, she told me she wanted a divorce. I got in my car. I drove to Atlanta. And she ended up going back to Maine, I think the day after I got finally, it's a 2-day drive. So I got to Atlanta and I stayed in Atlanta to, my whole plan was to come to Atlanta to work to begin with, to provide for my family better. And so hoping we could still move to Atlanta and fix the marriage, I stayed in Atlanta.
Okay, so you stayed, and then she left.
Correct.
Okay. And that was 2009?
That was 2007.
2007. Okay. All right, so now moving on to where everybody else was of the siblings. So Scott, he's the next youngest, next oldest, I mean. What was he doing in the mid-2000s? Where was he working? Where was he living?
Scott was living with my parents. For work, I don't remember what he was doing.
Was he between jobs? Would that be fair to say?
Well, he would have jobs. I mean, he was a very skilled mechanic. So I remember him working at some car repair places, and remember him working at a car dealership. But these are the jobs before he joined the Army.
Okay, and that would have been about 2007. Do you know?
I think that was maybe, from what I remember, maybe closer to 2008.
Okay. So he would have been about, what, 25 at that point if he was born in 1983?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So a little later, going into the military.
Yeah.
Did your, can you remember, did your father show any disappointment in Scott prior to 2008 as far as not going to college, things like that?
No.
What about being between jobs?
Never said anything to me about it.
He didn't say anything to you. Okay. Did Scott ever say anything to you about he felt like a failure or anything like that?
No.
Did you ever hear him say to you that he felt like going into the military was his second chance? He finally put it together in his life at that point.
I never heard him say second chance. I know he was very excited to join the military.
Okay. Gave him purpose for the first time. You ever hear him say anything like that? Would you have described your relationship with your brother? You gave a number of interviews for this case. And I believe in one of the interviews you said that you have become closer after this happened.
Yes.
So back then, how much did you and your brother actually talk?
Not a whole lot about personal things. You know, we weren't, I would say, best friends or anything. I loved my brother very much, but you know, I had my life in Maine, and I had kids, and he was still in Atlanta, and there was that distance. You know, it's before social media and all that. So.
Okay. All right. So briefly about Amanda and Emily. What were they doing in the 2000s?
They had MySpace.
College. Emily was at Alabama.
And she graduated.
She did, yeah.
And there was actually a condo that was bought by your mother and your father for her in Tuscaloosa.
Yes.
Okay. And did Amanda stay there too, or how did that work?
Amanda didn't go to Alabama.
Okay, where'd she go?
I think she went to Georgia Southern. Yeah, she went to Georgia Southern first, and then was there, I think, for half a year or a year before she came back home.
Okay. And that condo in Tuscaloosa, the family held on to that all the way until 2019, 2020, 2020?
I think it would have been 2019.
And that would have been when you were the executor, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And you were unable to keep that property. You lost that property, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. You weren't able to manage the finances of that property.
I had no access to money.
All right. Let's go back to Ted Wiley. What you knew him from dating your father's sister. For how long before? Like, say, 2008?
I don't know the exact number of years, but it was for a long time.
10 years, 5 years, 3 years?
It's over 10 years.
Okay. So was there any animosity there between your sister and your mother regarding any allegations of an affair?
Between my sister and my mother?
Yeah. Not your sister. Your father's sister. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Did you ever notice any troubles there?
No.
Okay. So it was a clean break between Ted Wiley and your aunt?
I don't know.
Don't know. Okay. So what, if anything, did you ever know about this relationship with Ted Wiley and your mother? What you actually knew?
I knew what I saw, what I described in my testimony yesterday.
Other than that?
My father communicated things to me, and my brother communicated things to me.
Scott?
Yes.
What did Scott tell you?
Well, during that time, Scott was up there because Scott was helping, fix my grandmother's house and helping take care of my grandmother. So he was spending a lot of time there too, and he would just say, it's just kind of weird. Ted just seems very flirtatious with Mama and things like that.
Okay. So I want to talk about, it sounds like between 2008, 2010, your parents were going through some marital troubles at that time.
I would say so.
Fair to say. And you would agree with me. You've been married twice, correct?
Yes, sir.
You would agree to me that a husband and a wife have equal ownership of everything in a marriage. You got to say yes. You can't just shake your head.
I agree with that statement.
Okay. So yesterday you mentioned something to the effect of your mother took out a $50,000 HELOC on the home in Alpharetta. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That was something that brought your father some frustration, yes?
Yes.
Okay, but they're talking about getting a divorce, yes?
I don't remember the timing of if the divorce stuff. I believe the divorce stuff happened after that.
But you don't know?
I don't know.
Okay. And so it's reasonable that somebody who has equal ownership in a home could go take out a HELOC in the home for things like hiring an attorney, finding her own house, things of that nature. Those are normal things, yes?
I guess so.
Okay. I want to move forward now to 2013. Did you ever hear, there was the troubled times through 2010, but did you ever hear that 2013, Purcell Lane, I'm just going to call it Purcell Lane instead of saying 2155, just Purcell Lane House, that was kind of the restart between your mom and your dad? Did you ever hear that or Scott talk about that?
That doesn't come to mind. I thought they had kind of restarted before that.
Okay, well, explain to the jury, please.
Well, when he called me and said, your mother's going to come home, I remember things being really good for a while.
So that would be...
And it wasn't just like, okay, we're going to buy the farm and like this is the big restart. I never heard anything of that sort.
Okay. But you think it was better before the farm?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And how do you mean? Could you explain that to the jury?
It's been a long time.
Well, I understand. Take your time.
It's just kind of a feeling. My mom was home. She would do things with my father. She would...
Just crossing things off.
They were sleeping in the same bed. They were affectionate. From what I remember, things were good between them during that period of time.
So I'm going to say this, and I know things change throughout marriages, especially 38-year marriages. Mm-hmm. And you're under oath, and you've sworn to God to tell the truth. But you do believe in your heart that your mother loved your father. Yes?
At a point in her life, yes.
At a point in her life.
Mm-hmm.
So how about on July the 3rd of 2018? Do you believe that your mother loved your father?
No.
many times yesterday? Your testimony seemed very well put together. And I just want to ask you this. How many times did you practice that testimony?
Zero.
0 times? You never went to the district attorney's office and practiced that testimony? Discuss what you would say?
I never practiced my testimony, no.
Never.
I went to the office and we prepared for the trial, but...
Just in front of the mirror.
There was no rehearsal of testimony.
So let's go to the 2016 wedding for Emily.
Yeah.
All right. And she married Chris Payne.
Yes.
What do you know about Chris Payne?
They met while she was in college. He was not in college. He owned a restaurant there, and I met him. It was right before she graduated, and she really loved him very much.
All right. And Chris Payne, he has some financial issues too. Do you know about that? Could you explain that to the jury?
This was all word of mouth things. I never heard it directly from him or her, but I think it was something along the lines of maybe there was a issue with finances at his restaurant. Possibly a check or something that had been, bounced or something. But I don't know the exact details of that.
Something to the effect he was arrested for that. You know that.
Sounds like
I don't know why he was arrested. You can be arrested for things related to stuff, if it was a probation thing. I don't know exactly why when they showed up the arrest warrant said. I don't know.
Okay. Reason I'm asking these questions, there's been pictures shown, I think even yesterday, of that wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody standing there at that wedding, but your dad and your mother were having to financially support Chris and Emily to some degree. Do you know about that? Chris Payne, not you, Chris, but also you.
I know that my dad co-signed on the mortgage.
In their house in Nashville?
Yes.
Okay. So you know about that?
I know about the co-signing of the house.
Anything else?
No.
Right. Yesterday you testified that your dad would give money to all of the kids, except for maybe Amanda. Did Amanda receive any money from your father as an adult?
Yeah.
How?
I think insurance, cell phone, car, stuff like that.
All right. What was Amanda's work?
Let's see.
By the way, how many years has it been since you spoke to Amanda?
6 years.
6 years. Okay.
Yeah, 6 years.
All right. So.
Wait, I'm sorry. Let me correct that. I think there was a brief conversation. It's still about 6 years. I'm thinking of the last time I spoke with her, at length at all. But it's still at the same time period, 6 years.
Right. So, but her job was what? What was her way of making a living?
I remember Amanda was working for Tory Burch. I remember that. That's a clothing company.
Okay.
And she worked for another clothing company called Club Monarch. She worked at the mall and at Phipps. I remember that job.
In Buckhead?
Yeah.
Okay. And what about Scott? You said he, of course, worked at the farm from the time he came back from the military?
Yeah. He had a warehouse job for a little while. I just remember that because I remember him telling me about it. Excuse me.
Take time.
But mostly at that time working at the farm.
Right. Did when Scott got back from the military, how was he discharged? Do you know?
I have no idea.
No clue.
No clue.
Because y'all weren't super close back then, but you've become close. And you mentioned yesterday that you have undergone some treatment for PTSD. Have you and Scott discussed his PTSD?
No.
He never brought that up to you?
No.
Even though he's brought that up in multiple interviews in this case?
Never brought it up to me.
Okay. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being so close that you guys talk every day, 1 being, I don't even talk to the guy. How close would you say your relationship with Scott is today?
You say 10. Did you talk to him yesterday after your testimony?
So 10 being like we're talk every day.
Talk every day.
I'd say about a 7 point. I'd say 7.
7, not a 7.57.
7. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And how about 2015?
2015. Oh, I'd say about
5.
2015. I'd say about a 5.
Called it.
About a 5.
4.
So,
It's hard for me to really. I'd have to think about that for a long time to really give a. What I think would. Give the answer that would say how close we were. But I would say about a 5.
about a 5. So closer now.
What if he's going to ask Scott the
All
same
right, so
question?
back in 2000, just real quickly at the wedding, you said after the wedding of Emily, y'all went to brunch or breakfast the next morning. And that's when your dad allegedly said that that's the last time she's going to embarrass me. I believe those are the words you used.
Yes, sir.
And who was at that breakfast?
Jenna.
Who else?
Scott.
But your mom was there too.
No.
Everybody was at this breakfast together.
No.
And it was a breakfast, not a brunch.
No.
Everybody but Emily.
No. It was me, Scott, Jenna, and my father.
It was at the hotel, was it not? What hotel did you stay at?
I stayed at the Cool Springs. It's a loft hotel. My father stayed at the Embassy Suites.
Right. That's where everybody stayed.
No, my mother did not stay there. My mother did not stay with my father.
Wow.
You have no proof of that.
I mean, do I have like a video evidence that shows?
Like you just have no proof. You're just saying this to the jury.
I have proof of what I know, but what do you mean by proof?
Any evidence to the contrary?
Like
any evidence? You got no evidence? Pictures, photos, anything?
No, I don't know how I would have that.
All right. So let's go back to, you've been to rehab. You've had a number of issues. When would you say your substance abuse was at its highest?
When the day I went to treatment.
When was that?
April, I think 10th of 2021.
2021. So how about back in the mid-teens, around 2015, 16, 17, 18? You drinking then?
Yeah.
Pretty regularly?
Yeah.
All right. The reason I bring that up, and I'm not sitting here just trying to, everybody's got problems in their life, and I understand that. But you made a point yesterday to talk about the fact, I believe, and the date is right around the 4th of July 2017, that you got into an altercation with your mother. Where your mother would not let your girls leave with you. And she swiped at you. You remember that distinctly. But you also remember you were going to a Braves game, were you not? And you'd been drinking that day.
No.
And you were drunk.
No, sir.
And your mother was not going to let you leave that house with your kids drunk.
That's not true.
You got any proof of that? Anything?
It's not a fair question.
Prior to that, how about this? Had your mother ever took a swipe at you in your life?
Swipe at me? What does that mean?
Hit. Tried to hit you. You said yesterday she tried to hit you.
Has my mother ever hit me in my life?
Not when you're a kid and you got spanked. I'm talking about as an adult.
Has she ever hit me as an adult? No.
Okay, so that distinctly set out in your mind from that day.
It was shocking that she would do that to her grown son.
Because, of course, you're testifying to this jury that you weren't drunk.
I was not drunk.
Okay. And you ultimately told her, I believe the words you used was something to the effect of, I can't wait till you're in a pine box. Or tell me how you said that.
I think I said, the next time I see you, you'll be in a pine box because I'm not going to talk to you again for the rest of your life.
All right, and Ella and Addison were standing right there. You said that right in front of them to their grandma, who they loved more than anything.
I think the girls were inside the house.
All right. But the girls continued to go up there, even in that time y'all weren't talking, yes? Whenever? No?
Mm-mm. Not the time when we were not talking. They weren't here.
They went back to Maine.
Yeah.
All right. But in all reality, in that time period, after you and Kendall Lee separated, every single summer, those kids would come down here and immediately you would take them and dump them off at your grandmother's house. Or at your mother's house, their grandmother's house, grandma.
I wouldn't really phrase it like that.
Well, then you phrase it the way you want to.
My kids love going to the farm. They wanted to go there, but it wasn't an immediate thing because Grandma would take them shopping. They're teenage girls.
Okay.
That was a big influence in them immediately wanting to spend time with her, and she also wanted to immediately spend time with them.
Well, let's do this. So, I'm trying, everybody that I ever cross-examine just knows that I just bounce around, and everybody I talk to in my life, and I'm trying to go as chronologically as possible. I'm going to go forward in time 1 year.
This is strategic.
Okay. On July the 4th, 2018, did you not testify yesterday that you just wanted to get Addison up there because you had a party going on? There was a party going on back at your condo in Buckhead. Mom, meet me on 400 somewhere. Is that not what happened?
Well, what happened was, as far as efficiency and time management and gas money and things like that, like, it made more sense. She's driving back from Lake Lanier. I'm coming up 400. Why not meet here instead of going all the way west? It didn't make any sense to me at the time.
Because you wanted to get back to your party. You said your friends were there. You were having a party at the pool.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I would rather be hanging out with my friends than sitting in a car.
Than hanging out with your daughter on a holiday.
No, I didn't want my daughter to go. Like what I said I did not want her to go, but it's very hard to tell Miss Addison Marie no. It still is. Miss Addison Marie really wanted to go see Cameron and spend the night at the farm. They had been talking about that leading up to this. With each other, with my mom, with me, with whoever they could talk to about it.
But you and your mother eventually reconciled at a bar in Nashville?
That's the first time I saw her after we didn't speak for a long period of time, and I gave her a hug. I don't know if that's a reconciliation, but it was I wanted to make things better. I always wanted to make things better with my mother. I wanted a happy family.
But everybody was reconciled by Christmas. Because you went up there for Christmas that year, 2017.
To the farm? Excuse me, went to the farm for Christmas of 2017.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
So everything was good by 2017 Christmas?
I remember it being good.
Okay. Your mother had forgiven you for wanting her dead.
I'd never wanted my mother dead.
You said that.
I did not say that. I said the next time I see her. Basically, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. It's a big difference.
All right. Let's talk about your father's spells. Now, you mentioned you never saw the spells.
No, sir.
But you knew about them from Scott, yes?
I knew about them from my mother and Scott and my sisters, and I think even maybe a little bit from my dad, even though he knew how much I worried about him, and he would kind of keep things. He didn't want me to worry. He knew I had kids, and
yeah. So you had, multiple interviews in this case, all the way through 2020 with Detective Hayes and Detective Kuykendall. And at one point you were in an interview with Scott, and you're aware that these spells would happen even when your mother was out of town. Like, you knew that. You know that. It wasn't just after he would eat a plate of food from your...
The plate of food thing was just talking about that last instance before he's in the hospital. Like, he never told me anything about the spells before, like if they were around her or not around her, if she was out of town, things like that.
Right. But you knew that the spells would happen even when she was out of town. Even with Rusty. If she was with Rusty. Which, by the way, everybody knew about Rusty, right? And we'll come back
Suspicion.
Suspicion, but other people knew. Scott knew. Terry Brazel knew. Everybody knew.
Apparently so, yeah.
Okay. Because your parents lived a separate life. Top of the house, bottom of the house. And you knew that. You may not have liked it, but you knew it, yes?
To some degree, they lived a separate life, yeah.
Yeah. You got any objections?
I do want to talk about.
Do we need to take the jury out? Okay. That's fine. This is the part where I need to look those. Well, I just did that because that's all it is.
Right.
You got any objections?
Judge, he's about to introduce an exhibit. I don't have an issue with the content, but I wanted to bring up a little bit.
We should do this outside the presence of the jury.
Thank you, Judge.
How'd you go, jury? You two firemen. It blows my mind.
Just what you able.
It blows my mind that we have a juror, a sitting juror on this case, who yesterday, under oath, because jurors take an oath too, in trial, admitted that he would not be able to be fair and impartial because of the pressure that's put on him from work. And the people the firemen, the crew that knows that he's on the jury, testified to that, and that he's still sitting on the jury. Unbelievable. He might be a designated alternate and never serve under any circumstance. But how could the defense not to have objected to that? If they objected and it was ruled against them, this is a get out of jail free card for your client because of appeal, especially if he serves.
Is essentially a lot. It looks like maybe May through July text messages from Gary Ferris's phone. I do not have a problem with the content. The only issue is the format of this report doesn't have contact names, and so the jury will not have context for most of these conversations. It is essentially just phone numbers.
We just go off a lot what we got from the state.
So,
and this is a version of that we got from the state. And for the simple rule, I've got some excerpts from text messages between the two of them. And just for the rule of completeness, we just took that and printed it out to put it in this exhibit.
And my issue is there's, like, for example, there's a text where it says, quote, gun. It's in a group chat that he's in with work people. Has nothing to do with this case, but we don't need them to make inferences and assumptions. It's just phone numbers. So I have offered to run this as a report, so it has names on it of the contacts. It would just take a minute.
Well, we can, if y'all want to, we can do that and give that to them later, and you can just ask the questions based upon.
Just my excerpt. It was just if the court preferred that we go ahead and put the whole thing in now. I wasn't going through the whole thing with this witness.
That's perfectly fine. If we want to go through with him, what you want to go through with, and then we can run it later.
Yeah.
I just didn't want this to go back with them because it has no names.
Right. That's fine.
Okay, go ahead and start that report.
I have to
or
go
y'all
upstairs.
can either y'all
can upstairs.
If y'all want to mark the names, either do your report or if y'all want to.
I think the report may be easier.
It would, and especially if it's if it's all of the messages, the format will be much more readable.
Okay.
I do not mind doing that. I will just need to, let me write down these dates.
Yeah, we'll.
Sorry, this is your pen.
But you can go ahead and do the questions with them now, and then we can supplement it, and we can. I'll be happy to explain that to them later.
Make sure I'm doing. Is this April 20th, 2018, through the incident date?
Yes, ma'am.
April 20th. Thank you.
Well, we might as well take anything else we think of. We might as well take a short break since it's after 10 and they're already back there.
I think we might as well take a break right now, is what he's saying now, since the jury's out. This is crazy.
Yeah, you can sit down.
I wonder if that witness is. Ooh. What did he just say? We need a lip reader. I'm sorry, we need a lip reader for that. Let me see if I can back it up just a tiny bit. What did he just say coming out of the box? Here we go. We don't want any sound on this one. We're just going to play it like this. Ready? What did he say? I don't know. Who was it to? At least he didn't. There was no birds. I checked for birds. No birds were waved there. Okay. All right. Witness gets to step out a little bit. I can zoom, but I'm not going to right now. It takes a little more work. It's one of the buttons I don't have on my keyboard is the zoom. There was no real sound picked up. I mean, if I go back and play it with the sound on, this is what we were hearing at the time. So there's nothing. There's no sound with that. All right. What, I'm missing a button? No, the speed editor is for cutting and taking parts of clips and putting them together. It's not for moving them around on the screen. That's a different machine altogether. Well, it's a different tool altogether. I'm curious if he talked to anyone. See, Google Earth just quit. I tried to run Google Earth to show you their farm a little bit, how it looks in most recent aerial views, but it's not working very well with my software, with my computer. I wonder if he talked to his. I'll tell you this. He probably did not talk to his mom, right? But I wonder if he talked to his brother, and I wonder how well other witnesses are doing at not following along the case outside of court, because the exclusionary rule's in place here. So when you get the next brother in, and he is asked the same questions about how would you grade your relationship on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, talking to your brother this year and that year, I wonder if he'll give it the same marks, the same results. Yeah, 7.5, 4 or 5. Yeah, I wonder if that's going to be the same. Honor to Sharon for calling me sunshine. Happy memory of my late daddy. Thank you, Mary Brown. Thank you. Sharon is one of our amazing, amazing mods. This trial is crazy. I feel like we've intruded on somebody's family therapy session. That still, I mean, obviously, the issues are ongoing. Not working with my software. What did I say? Not working with my hardware. This Mac, the laptop that I have right here, this one, it's from, I think, 2014, 2015. So it's an older computer there.
Call from
Angela, it's a choppy stream. What do you have to say? Let's see if we can hear you.
Hey, hello, Chad. Hello, Scott. Hey, everybody. Hope running for today is all right, or trying to do all right. I love this he's very believable. And unfortunately, yesterday I had to watch your stream in the.
I can't tell if you like this guy or don't like this. It's really, really choppy. It's like robot talk.
Hold on.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Beautiful.
Good. Great. I do like the guy. I think he's very believable.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday I had to be in the rewatch crew on the after lunch part. And I saw a few people commenting how he talks with his hands and he's like touching his face. I'm like that. I do talk with hands. There are people that just do that. It's their way to express whatever they're talking about.
Yeah.
So I don't think just because he does that, it means like he is not telling the truth or whatever. I like that.
I got a similar feel that I feel he believes what he's saying.
Yeah.
And now I use those words very carefully. I'm not saying I believe what he is saying, but I feel that he believes what he's saying. So for him, he comes across as truthful, but it might not necessarily be the truth based on issues of perspective and dynamics and stuff there from the observer. So it's
I agree with you. Like what he's saying, that it's believable. I believe that he believes whatever he's saying. We don't know the other side, and I think that cross is going to be spicy. Not as spicy as Jen McCabe cross, but
I've got to say we're probably going to hear from all the siblings. Okay, there's a high likelihood we definitely are at least going to hear from Scott, maybe even today. I wonder how if they're more reserved than Chris, because Chris has spilled everything. I mean, you're under oath, but it seems like he hasn't tried to withhold anything. He's gone into every area they wanted to talk about. He's been fully open and maybe overshared. And I wonder if we have a more conservative sibling who comes down and is now going to be very upset with, oh my goodness, why did he talk about that? That's not relevant. Why would he tell that detail? You don't need to go that far. I wonder if this testimony is going to cause further issues within the family.
Yeah, well, when it comes to that, I'm like that. I may be like oversharing and over talking. So good thing that like I am not on the stand, and I do not I can't stop talking. Once I start, I will spill the beans on everything I know. So that's why I sort of believe this guy. That not believe that what he's telling the truth, because I don't know the whole story, but he sounds very believable. And there are a few things that he says in facial expressions, like it looks like he is not trying to remember. I know someone said like, oh, he looks like he's trying to remember what he said in some interview years ago. It looks like he's remembering the facts, what actually truth is, not what remember whatever lie he said X years ago.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you give him a thumb up, say, yes, I believe him, truthful.
Yes.
And
I think that I think that was a little shaky start of a cross, because that was a little, to be honest, I rewatched it like 3 a.m. my time. And
that's way too early.
Way too early, yeah.
Way too late.
So he was, there was like, right, this with pool party, and that he did say that like he did not want to drive up there. He wanted to stay. And the mother's attorney twisted his words and said like he wanted to stay and drink. That's not what he said. I know that because I watched that like a few hours ago.
But when he did tell the story for the first time, it sounded like the mom called him and said, hey, bring Amanda up, right? Or bring your daughter. Is that Amanda? I forget who it was. Bring your daughter up. And
yeah.
And he's like, oh, she's going to want to go. I guess I'll ask her. I don't want to ask her. The daughter didn't know, right? He could have said right now, no. Daughter would never know. Daughter would never know. No, that's just not what we're doing. It doesn't work with our schedule very well. I'm not up for that. Instead, he's like, well, now I have to ask her, and she's going to say yes, and I don't want to. But and he goes through. I'm like, that part for me is like, you are the parent, right? You're the parent in this relationship. You get to choose what you offer to your daughter, and if you really don't want to do something, you could not offer it to her. So I as a parent, I didn't see that part as being genuine. It seemed like he did want her gone for me when I heard that.
But yeah, that also. But yeah, I agree with that on you. But my point was that when he drove her and he had to drive up there, but then the attorney twisted that, like, he twisted it in the weird way. It did not come across that when he said that on the direct.
I think what we have,
at least not to me.
We have we have testimony of these same events from another participant that's going to counter what this one says. I think that's the only reason the attorney would have been so brazen as to come out there and basically just attack him. It's like, didn't this happen? Like when they all went out to breakfast together as a family. He's like, no, my mom wasn't there. Yeah, but she was there. And they all stayed at the hotel and everything. That means he's got testimony from somebody else that remembers this very differently than Chris. But let me ask you one more question before I let you go here. That day with the Braves game, are you believing the testimony from this witness that he was not drunk that day?
Considering he does remember it, yes, I do.
Okay. It's interesting.
Because
that's the time period right about the time where he was drinking this heaviest, right before he went into treatment.
I mean, he would have, if he was, considering all the, after I sent you that email the other day with regarding alcohol, I went down the rabbit hole regarding alcohol. I can send you more links if you want. So all of that is kind of blurred to me regarding right now. Yeah. So he might not. I don't know. Considering that I have all of those articles in my head, I can't say 100% either way.
And those articles get a lot into the fact that some people can drink a lot and smell like alcohol and not be visibly drunk, where other people can drink a very little and see drunk. It's different. Just because you have a blood alcohol content of a certain amount doesn't mean necessarily that this is how you will behave. If that's how I read them anyway.
Yeah.
But.
And that just because your blood alcohol levels are over the legal limit does not mean you're drunk, like in Ken Reed's case, right, which was the point of that article. But yeah. Because I have all of that fresh in my mind, I'm not comfortable commenting on that. Sorry.
I understand. Angela, it is great to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Yes.
One day we'll figure out how you can do this without having to take out a mortgage to pay your phone bill. So I'm so sorry.
Yes.
Thank you, Angela.
Bye-bye.
We'll see you. Bye. From Sweden, love when she calls and connects. Great thinker. She does a lot of research on these cases too. This is, once again, a couple of people have pointed this out. When do we get to the evidence part? When do we get to the evidence? At this point, the strongest evidence we've seen, physical evidence, was drops of blood all over the house. But it sounds like most of the blood was not tested, and the blood that was tested came back to be the defendant's blood. And so I don't even know if he was shot in the house now, which, the only thing that indicates he might have been shot in the house is the fact there was a spent a bullet from a cartridge, a fired bullet on the floor down in his room. Other than that, there is no blood splatter. There's no pool of blood. We've got somebody might have cut themselves making dinner, chopping carrots, and a couple drips around the house. That's all we got. And it wasn't the victim. I just don't know where the evidence is here. A trial which turns into a therapy session is better than therapy that turns into a trial, I guess. Bob, I think you're right there. I think you're right. If I was on the jury right now and had to vote, if the trial ended right now, she's not guilty. And you can't judge someone because their family dynamics were crazy. I mean, so many of us have, I would say most of us don't have to look too many links away, whether it's through a sibling or through a parent or something else, to find family relationships that are very similar to the ones that we're describing right now. I mean, honestly, by a show of hands, doing anonymously, we could do a poll, but, very few of us could say, yeah, even all my cousins, no, everyone's families are just normal, right? We're all perfect, normal families. Everyone's doing fine financially, and nobody has affairs. Nobody has, there's no drama at Thanksgiving with boyfriends that show up.
Yes, Judge, and I have an objection to him using those.
I think most of us are similar. Or know of people who are.
Supposed to zoom in.
Eddie, this trial, the defendant is accused of shooting and killing and then burning her husband's body on the burn pile. They had affairs. They had financial struggles. The family dynamics were strained, to say the least. They were living as if they were very wealthy. He was earning, the victim was earning a ton of money. We're going to count those even though he was stretching. The victim was earning, he'd bring home $20,000 a month of take-home pay, but they would blow it. The children were fairly dependent on their dad for money, even providing for houses, providing for medical care for their kids, travel, vacations. You name it, that he was still paying for them like they were living at home. Yeah. Every family is somewhat dysfunctional.
All right, Mr. Hoover, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor.
She never stands for the jury, and I don't know why.
Well, before I get to this exhibit, I did want to go back and ask you about the spells one more time. So your dad was not a healthy guy. He had a CPAP machine, yes?
Yeah. All right. Mountain Dew.
I mean, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna factor in a few other things. He drank a lot of Mountain Dew. You knew that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How many cans a day would you say?
24.
I would say at a minimum 2, at least.
Okay.
More than that, probably, but I don't know how many.
And you knew him to be a multiple pack a day Marlboro smoker.
Multiple, I don't know, but I would say he smoked frequently.
Okay. Well, this jury has seen a picture of a trash can that was full of nothing but Mountain Dew and cigarettes.
Sure.
Okay. So you wouldn't describe him as the picture of health.
No, sir.
Okay. So it's reasonable that he could be having some health issues based on these spells.
Sure. I mean, that's what I initially thought they were from.
Okay. I want to talk to you now about, so kind of generally the summer of 2018 and before we get to the condo trip down in Gulf Shores.
Okay.
But I want to talk about your access to your father's money. You said yesterday you had a credit card and his credit card number.
Yeah.
All right. And you said something to the effect of, I had his credit card number and I used it and he'd get mad about it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And so I want to show you what is now being marked as Chris 2.
Okay.
And I would ask to admit that over no objection. That's Chris 2. All right. And
okay.
Can you, the phone number, source address, 678-5.
I'm not going to play all the addresses there, but.
Right. And then your phone number was 40.
Thank you. Court caught that one for me.
So that's from your dad to you. And this is on June the 12th,
We're going to
of
show
2018.
Anyway.
he sends you this message that says, what?
Your stealing money is out of control. I will change my accounts tomorrow.
Okay. So what happened there? Did you ever talk to him on the phone about that or anything else?
I don't remember. I never talked to him on the phone about it.
What did you do? I mean, if my dad accused me of stealing money, I think I'd be shocked.
Well, my dad, he could cut pretty deep with his words when he was upset with me.
All right. So what did you do?
I don't remember.
All right. Because you'd used his credit card before without his permission, as you said yesterday.
Yeah.
And like, I'm just saying this, and the statute of limitations is long past. You know that's a felony, right?
Yes.
I'm not an attorney. I'm not law enforcement. I don't know.
You take somebody's credit card and you spend their money without their permission. That's a theft, right?
Yeah, but he would also allow me to use it too. So, you
can rationalize.
I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
You know that's a felony. It's a good soundbite.
And you have no objection. No. Now I'm going to show you some messages. So as June went on and you kind of talked about the condo trip. Mm-hmm. And maybe that was something that you were trying to help make up with your dad after this fight about him accusing you of stealing his money.
No, that was not the reason.
Okay. All right. I'm going to show you some text messages. I've got them marked Chris 3, Chris 4, and Chris 5. And I'm just going to... It's between you and your dad.
Okay.
So this is about a week and a half, 10 days after the stealing message. Mm-hmm. So from you to your dad. Your source address, your 404...
The source? Oh, up here.
Yeah, you see that?
Right. Okay, I see. I'm sorry.
All right, so you've sent what appears to be a VRBO link.
Correct, yeah.
Verbo, I don't know what it's called. Which one is it? Is it just called VRBO?
I think it's VRBO.
Okay, all right. All right, so the next message, and that was sent on 6/22 at 15:57, probably UTC time, so we'll have to get into all that later. But is your dad responding? Saying, I like that building?
Yeah.
Right. Because he tasked you with getting a condo picked out, and he was going to buy it. All right, so what's the next message?
From me?
Yep.
It says, well, yeah. I mean, I think that was it's a building in Gulf Shores, or Orange Beach. It's like, well, yeah, it is a nice building.
Okay. What kind of building? How big was it? I mean, you said it was...
Oh, well, there were two buildings we were looking at, so I'm not exactly sure. I don't have I have the link to it, but there was the turquoise and there was the Phoenix. Both are nice, so I don't know which one. But they're big, I mean. Yeah,
they are big. And in one of the interviews, you were interviewed many times by Hayes and Kuykendall. In one of the interviews, I believe you used the word that this was a place that I could never have afforded, but Dad bought it for us.
Well, rented it.
Rented, yeah. Right, yeah. Right, rented it. Mm-hmm. And you offered in this message, I believe you say, go ahead and tell you what you said.
I said, if you get the condo, I'll cover the dinners out and fishing if we want to go.
Okay. Starting at the top.
Whose credit card would you use to cover
this
dinners?
One, I believe, maybe it was a picture or something that didn't come through, and it's a blank, so I'll move down. And you say, it's you saying, I can look at other condos? Does that look like?
Yeah.
Okay. And this, Your Honor, would be Chris 4. Any more thoughts on the beach? That's you to your dad?
Yeah. Source. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so had that kind of conversation gone dark, because this appears to be 6/26, so 4 days after. Like you and your dad hadn't talked about it, he hadn't brought it up to you?
Sure. My dad's a very busy man, so it wasn't weird for him not to get back to me on certain things.
Okay. And it looks like, I guess he didn't respond. And then you say, that's from you, right? Any other thoughts on going to the Gulf?
Yeah.
Okay. this is from your dad to you. He finally responds and says, talk tonight.
Hmm?
And then you say, good place? Or he says that?
Source address. That's me saying good place. I don't. Oh, you know what? I know what that's about.
Okay. What's that about?
It's a place in. It's called Adele's. I don't know if it's still open. It used to be a really good Cajun place in downtown Roswell. I think because I was supposed to go eat with them on his birthday, and then I had to work late and ended up not being able to go.
And what was his birthday?
It's right there. It's June 27th.
Okay. So that was his birthday that day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And this is your dad saying, I didn't have a chance to look at any more condo, or is that you? To your dad?
That's me.
Okay. Then you follow up with, sent a link to a condo last night.
That would be the following day. So yeah, I guess on the 28th I did have a chance to, look.
And we're and timeline-wise, just for perspective for the jury, we are now within the last week of your father's life at this point.
Yes, we are.
Okay. And then he said to you, or you said to him, who said what there?
It looks like I texted him. I would say book through the 11th or 12th, arrive on the 7th. So get there on the 7th, and we'd leave on like the 11th or 12th.
Okay. So this is again a message from you to your dad. Could you read it?
7th through 11th are available dates. So just do that.
So you send him the link. He puts in the credit card information and books it.
Yes.
That's how that went?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And then he says,
I booked it.
And you say?
Great. Will be fun.
You would, of all the children, you would use your father's money the most, would you not?
I don't know that. I mean, doesn't seem an unreasonable thing to say. I was the only one with children, and he, like I said yesterday, he helped out a lot with that kind of stuff.
Well, who else? I mean, would you say you or Scott received the most from your father?
I have no idea. I mean, Scott never went to college. I did. My dad paid for it. I mean, I don't know the numbers.
Okay. But if you had to say for this jury, you or Scott received the most money from your dad, who would it be?
I don't know.
All right, let's move to July the 3rd. Well, no, scratch that. Let's back up and go to the birthday weekend. So birthday weekend, everybody's there. Everything's normal, yes?
Normal for us, yeah. Yeah, I would say so.
And, you say normal for us. It has been used and alluded to this term of a Ferris wheel. Have you ever heard that phrase?
No.
The drama of the Ferris wheel.
No.
You've never heard that?
No, sir.
Well, you've heard it now. So why was it not normal for you then that weekend? You said it was normal for us, but not normal.
Today.
Well, my father had communicated to me how upset that my mother was that we were going to the beach. So there was some tension there. He didn't want me to really talk about it because she was very pissed off.
Right. Because less than a month before, you had been caught stealing off of their credit card.
Wait, can you explain what?
I'll ask it again.
Wait.
You make it unreasonable that your mother would be upset that your dad has bought you a trip to go to the beach But a month before, you were stealing from your parents. So here's my question.
Okay.
It's not unreasonable for your mother to be agitated at that point.
Well, I think what was kind of funny to me was I talked to my mother about it, and she never said anything to me about my dad wanted her to go. I wanted my mom to go. Well, kind of. I wanted my mom to go because my dad wanted my mom to go so badly. He said, we've been through all this. I still love her. And I asked my mother, I said, hey, we're going to just come on, And she's like, well, I've got stuff to do. She never said, no, I'm not going because you stole money from us. She never said that to me.
She never said that to you.
Right.
But that's a reasonable thought.
I guess it could be reasonable. I mean.
Yes?
Guess what?
It's reasonable?
I guess a certain person maybe could think it's reasonable. I'll give you that. Yeah.
Okay.
A certain person.
Other than that weekend,
jury.
y'all did the normal stuff. Y'all rode around on the RTV.
Yeah.
Did y'all grill out?
My brother smoked some barbecue.
Yeah. Birthday cake.
I'm sure my dad was a big fan of caramel cake. Yeah, there's probably one involved.
Grandma cooked a big spread.
I think she made the side items.
Good side items. Coleslaw, things like that.
Sweet potato.
Yeah, we'd have coleslaw.
Your mom was a good cook.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So was that the Saturday of that weekend or Sunday? Which we've actually got a. So it would have been Sunday, July the 1st, or Saturday. Last day.
I believe it was Saturday.
Okay. How long were y'all there that day?
Oh, I would say, because I went to Academy to get his gift. Got there, I'd say for at least a couple hours.
All right. And Amanda and Chad were there.
Yes, sir.
And Cameron?
I can't remember that for the life of me, but I kind of think she might have been. I just don't remember.
So Emily and Chris were there.
Yeah.
Chris Payne. And Olivia, the
Yes.
baby. How old was Olivia at that point?
She wasn't even a year old yet. She was still in a bouncer, like bouncing around, and I remember recording videos of. So she wasn't even a year old.
Okay. And the girls were obviously still up in Maine.
Correct, yes, sir.
Coming down on Tuesday. So anybody else there? Scott
was there.
Date.
Scott was there. I think Ted, his friend, was there.
Ted Pierce?
Yeah.
Okay. Who you play golf with a lot?
Yeah.
Did you know Ted?
Yeah.
Did you ever play golf with Ted?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
A few times.
Who's a better golfer, you, Ted, or Scott?
I would say me.
All right. How much would you say that your brother would play golf?
I know he'd go play golf with his friends a lot more than me. I was always trying to get him to play, but our schedules, it was hard for me to play a lot as much as I would want to. But I know he played with his friends.
Like a lot? Like every week?
Oh, I don't know that. To me, a lot is playing every month. Once a month, to me, is a lot. So.
All right.
Once a month is a lot. Once a month golfing to someone who doesn't like golfing is a lot of times golfing. But someone who likes golfing once a month is the bare minimum.
The 3rd, which would have been
Patricia, thank you. Congratulations.
Can't even see that myself.
Hit the year mark
So
of
that
that
would
orange
have been.
playhouse.
So what did you do that Monday on the 2nd?
I don't remember. It was a holiday week, so I don't remember if I worked or what. I don't remember.
All right. So the 3rd, that was when you went to Hartsville-Jackson to pick up your daughters.
That is correct. Okay. Yes, sir.
And what time was that flight?
Well, flights that leave Maine usually leave at like 6 a.m. in the morning. Sometimes they get delayed, but they're usually about 6 a.m.
6 a.m.?
Yeah.
So what time did they get to Atlanta at what time?
They would land. I would have to go in through security, depending on. It would probably be between around 9 a.m.
Okay. And you basically already said that there was kind of a plan that the girls were going to split up and go in kind of their own, one to hang out with Cameron. Who was going to hang out with Cameron? That was going to be Addison?
Yes.
Okay. And then Ella was going to go hang out with
Emma.
Who was Terry Brazel's daughter.
Correct.
Is Terry Brazel's daughter.
Yes, sir.
Okay. But over at his ex's house in Cumming.
Well, that's where I dropped her off. She was a horse trainer, and
Right.
they had this facility somewhere over there, and she was all really excited to go. Like, they were going to have a sleepover at the facility and ride horses. Yeah.
So you took her up there?
I did.
Like as soon as y'all landed?
No.
Okay. Where was it? Did Addison drive up there with you to drop her off? Or
Yeah.
did you leave her with Jenna?
No, she rode with me. Jenna was at work that day.
Okay. So, refresh. You've been testifying now for a while.
Yes, sir.
So let's make sure we can get our timelines right. What did you do next after you dropped her off?
After I dropped Ella off?
Yes.
I remember backing out of the driveway and literally picking up the phone and calling my father.
All right. And what did your dad say?
He said, I said, what are you doing? He said, well, working. I said, oh, cool. I was like, on your way back, do you want to get dinner? I thought he meant at the office. He said, oh, no, I'm working at the farm.
Right.
So
And that was when they were pulling up, I believe there was the rose bushes, things like that?
There were some bushes in the back. I just remember them, not rose bushes, but I think box because they had boxwoods behind the house, and they would they're my dog I think would actually urinate on them, and that might have been why they died. But I remember something of the conversation about that. But they were dead shrubs in the back of the RTV.
So he said, but him and your mother were doing yard work that day, which is not unusual, right?
Oh, that's not unusual.
That's what they did. And they did it together, right?
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
I never saw them doing it together, doing it apart. I just know what I saw that day, and it was him by himself when I pulled up.
At that moment. But that was later on. That's about 5:30.
Well, I mean, that's maybe 20 minutes after that phone call I had with him.
So they're pulling up boxwoods that day, and Addison had texted Grandma.
Yeah.
And Grandma said she's busy, and they're working in the yard, something to that effect. But come over tomorrow.
I'd have to see those text messages. I don't know.
You don't know for sure?
I know she said I'm busy. I don't know if she said you can come tomorrow. I don't know.
Come tomorrow?
The part about I'm busy is the part I remember. The other stuff about, oh, you can't come because we're working in the yard, or you can't come, or you can come tomorrow, that part I don't know. The part of I'm busy, I know.
So
but if you have them, I'd be glad to.
How about this? You don't know, and that's a fine answer. But you don't.
Oh, no. I know the part about I'm busy because Addison told me.
Right.
Yeah.
But she came over Grandma made it a point the next day. Addison's coming over with Cameron.
Made it a point, like on the file.
The next day, on the 4th.
I just want to make sure I'm clear on what you're asking me. Did she say on the 3rd? I don't know. I don't know.
All right, but on the 4th, she made sure that Addison was coming over with Cameron.
Yeah, she called me and said, hey, if she still want to have the sleepover.
And Addison goes by Addie, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's just call her Addie.
Yeah, that's fine.
Make sure she'd come over the next day.
She called me on the 4th of July to say, hey, does she still want to have the sleepover tonight?
Yeah.
I went, Addie's swimming in the pool. I said, hey, do you still want to go over there? Oh, yeah. I took her over there.
Yeah. All right, so then you get up to the your parents' house, the farm.
Yeah.
About
I went
5?
to Wendy's to get her dinner, then I came to the farm.
Okay. And because she just wanted to see Grandma real quick. Is that why? Or Big Daddy and Grandma? Addison?
Oh, you're talking about on the 3rd?
On the 3rd.
I'm sorry.
I'm bounced around.
Oh, okay. Sorry. My father had just seen Ella in May because Ella had come down. He hadn't seen Addie since Christmas. And so we're like 15, 20 minutes from, if even that, from the farm. So I was like, hey, had that conversation with him. I wanted her to go see her grandfather. I wanted her grandfather to see her. And my mother too. Right. But I didn't know my mom was there.
Right. Because she was working. You just don't know.
I just didn't know. Yeah.
Didn't. But didn't y'all all walk over as a family that day to the barn to look at the ducks?
I drove my truck from the house to the barn. I think either Addie rode in the truck with me or she walked with my mom. My dad drove the RTV. But yeah, I mean, we all went from the house to the barn to look at the ducks.
But everything seemed perfectly normal that day.
I mean, nothing at that time. Nothing stood out to me that wasn't normal. I mean, there was one thing that seemed not normal.
Go ahead.
Ears just perked up. What's that?
Well, anytime my daughters asked my mom to come over there to spend the night or anything, she would jump at the opportunity to have that. And this time she said, "No, I'm busy." And that just was that had never happened before. Like, I'd almost have to tell my mom, "Hey, back off. Like, I want to spend some time with my kids." Like, and that's no bitch. That's great. She loved my children. My children loved her. I loved that. Loved that.
But working in the yard and it was hot that day. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was hot.
Hot that day. It's not unreasonable for someone to say, "We'll do it tomorrow. I'm doing yard work today." That is not an unreasonable thing to say. It's not.
It wouldn't be an unreasonable thing for me to say,
This is just your interpretation.
Right.
After years and everything that's happened. So let's do this. You were never, really no one was ever asked until about 2019, 2020, what your dad was wearing that day. Mm-hmm. What was the last thing? You remember finally somebody asked you, what was your dad wearing?
Yeah.
What was your dad wearing?
My dad, when he would work in the yard, would wear, or when I say the yard, it's a farm. Okay, so it's not like mowing the grass. I mean, there's things to do. He would wear long pants, almost like cargo pants. You like the type you get it like
not Carhartt, but just cargo.
Cargo.
Okay.
I don't know what brand, but outdoorish wear. And then I just remember him wearing like it wasn't a t-shirt. It was like almost those fishing shirts that
like a Huck shirt, something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't a Huck shirt, but I would have known if it was a Huck shirt. I like Huck shirts, but it wasn't. Maybe like a Columbia type.
Something like that.
Yeah.
PFG, some kind of shirt like that.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay. And what was your mom wearing?
I don't remember really. See, when you're thinking about these things back and forth, and people are asking you, try to remember.
You want to know something? Nobody's ever asked you. Nobody's ever asked you or anybody what your mother was wearing that day.
I think somebody asked me that.
Well, what was she wearing?
Well, I don't really remember.
Okay. And so, what was your last memory and interaction with your father?
I said, "We'll see you. Maybe we can go watch fireworks the next." I'm sorry.
Take your time.
My last thing I said to my father is, "All right, well, we're gonna go back to Buckhead, and maybe we can go, see the fireworks tomorrow night or something like that." And I don't remember even what he said. I wish I did. That's all I remember.
But you do remember he was preparing a burn pile. A
Yeah,
large burn pile.
Oh yeah, he told me he was. He's like, I'm getting that ready to burn. I said, "When are you gonna burn it?" Tomorrow.
That evening you left and you went with Addie to the Poke Bowl. And take your time.
I don't know the name of the restaurant, but yeah.
I believe yesterday you said it was the Poke Bowl.
It's a Poke Bowl restaurant.
Oh, okay.
But it could be Poke Fin, Poke what, I don't remember the
And you paid in cash?
I've never heard of this before.
I either paid or Jenna paid, or Jenna was with us. I might have paid in cash. I don't remember.
And are you still married to Jenna?
No.
So y'all went back to your apartment. Is the Poke Bowl in the same building as the condo?
Oh no, Poke Bowl's at Peachtree Battle and Peachtree Street intersect. The Poke Bowl restaurant was.
I need to Google this. What is a Poke Bowl?
And then y'all went back, and what happened?
After Poke Bowl, I know we went and got ice cream. They have these rolled ice cream places, and I always, like to take my kids to like cool places like that, and where they, freeze it and roll it, and they make it all fancy. So we went and got ice cream.
Like Cold Stone Creamery used to be, or maybe still is.
Yeah, it's like Sub-Zero. Anyway,
yeah.
It's not important. But we went and got ice cream.
2 more restaurants added to the list.
Okay. And what time did you go to bed?
I remember I watched Jaws that night.
Jaws 1, 2, or 3?
Probably 1.
The original.
Because that's my favorite one. I don't remember what time I went to bed.
But you do remember that you went to bed in a room by yourself.
Yeah. Jenna, and when the girls would come, they like sleeping next to Jenna. Yeah. So I slept in the guest room.
So both girls slept with Jenna?
Well, Ella was, remember?
Up at Beth's.
She was at Beth's. At Beth's, yes.
So it was just Addie and Jenna sleeping in y'all's bedroom, and then you slept in the guest bedroom.
Correct.
All right. And then, is it not also true that they came down to see you at the Peachtree Road race the next morning? You were already down there.
Who?
Addie and Jenna.
Well, I know Addie walked down with me.
She walked down with you.
Yeah.
But what time was that?
It was early. It was a lot earlier than I normally would get up, probably, on the 4th of July.
What time were you up on the 4th of July?
It had to be. That race starts early in the morning, so it had to be 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. And the farm was how far from your house?
It'd take you a good 45 to 50 minutes to get there from Buckhead.
45 to 50 minutes.
Yeah.
And okay. So the next morning, so y'all go, did you watch the whole race?
No, sir.
Okay.
Like, we didn't see the actual competition people, like, how they start with the professional runner and the professional.
I'm going to ask you one more question, and then we'll move on from this topic. You, was your phone ever dumped in this case? Like they did an extraction? We're always extracting phones in these cases, and it takes forever to actually do a case like this because so many phone extractions. But did they extract your phone?
No, sir.
Okay. And do you know, did they ever do any kind of a geofence on your phone? Do you know about that? To see where you were?
Yeah, absolutely. They told me they did.
They told you, but you don't know for sure. Did they show you a map?
I was shown a map at some point of something, but I don't remember what it was. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I was shown a map at some point during interviews about this whole thing.
Okay, because you've been interviewed a lot.
2 or 3 times.
Have you ever been considered as a suspect?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Been almost done with this guy on cross. Ready for Scott? We'll go back to direct first,
But you were the last person who saw your father alive, outside of your mother
and my daughter,
and maybe even Scott.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Was your daughter already in the car when you walked away from your dad?
Was my daughter? I don't remember.
Don't remember?
I don't think so. Okay. But maybe I don't know.
Did you get in a fight with your dad about him regretting potentially paying that much money for this trip?
No.
and that maybe he was going to call off the trip?
Nope.
Okay, let's talk about the pool party. When did y'all went to breakfast? You went to Waffle House that day, or was that on the 3rd?
Are you talking about the 4th?
The 4th, yeah.
We went to Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel that day, because you went out to Norcross to give a check to an individual that worked for you in your painting
I think
business.
his name was Julio. Yeah.
Okay. So you go out there, and his name was Julio?
I think so. I think it was Julio.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you got back, and what time did the pool party start?
Oh, I don't remember. Sometime after noon, like after 12 p.m. But I don't remember exactly what time.
All right. And how long were you at the pool party before you took Addie up to the house?
Oh, man. A few hours. Maybe 2 or 3 hours at least, 3 or 4. I don't remember.
And you knew your mom was up at Lake Lanier Islands with
Cameron. And Scott. Cameron, Chad, and Amanda.
All right. But Scott was also over at Lake Lanier, but he'd been playing golf that morning? Do you know?
I knew he was playing golf because I saw it on Snapchat, and I remember messaging him on Snapchat saying, God dang, you're playing golf early, aren't you?
Like, what time was he playing golf?
It was early, I don't remember exactly what time. I just remember, how you look at a picture and you see kind of the haze.
Like, he did a Snapchat post that morning about playing golf.
Yeah.
It's like a selfie?
No, not a selfie. It's just his Snapchat.
Okay. Just like of the golf course, happy 4th of July, maybe a beer or something, I don't know.
I don't know about a beer, but yeah, I think the happy 4th of July thing probably.
Okay.
Yeah. Seems to ring a bell.
All right. So you texted about, so you knew he was there, you knew your mom was up at the lake, your mom messages you, doesn't agree to meet on 400, you take her up to the house. Addie.
She called me.
Your mom called you?
Mm-hmm.
What'd she say?
Like I said before, she said, hey, does Addie still want to come have the sleepover at the farm?
Obviously she said yeah.
Yeah, I remember, walked over, she's in the pool, swimming. I said, hey, you still want to go up there?
You didn't really want to go because you're at the pool party.
I didn't want to go just because it was so late in the day. I was like, well, we're already kind of here, and so, but like I said, if she wanted to go, I was going to take her.
Okay. I want to ask you a question right now.
Okay.
So you took your daughter up there, and there she was, and I'm going to very point blank ask you this question.
Okay.
Don't you think it's a little absurd to think that if your mother gruesomely killed your father and burned him on a burn pile, that she would invite your daughter up to her house? Her granddaughter, whom she loved more than anything.
I think it's sick and twisted.
So you think, is that what you think?
Yeah.
Soundbite.
And that was, what'd you do the rest of the night on the 4th?
Went home, we shot fireworks, and just hung out with Jenna, and that's it.
Okay. So tell me about the 5th. Let's move on to the 5th.
Okay.
What'd you do? Tell me when you got up.
Woke up, I knew I needed to go up there, pick Addison up. At some point, Amanda called me, and she said, Daddy's missing. And that increased my haste to get to the farm.
And Judge, if we could switch back over to the computer. So, and I'm showing you what's previously been marked as Thrasher 51. Can you tell me, you walked up, where did you see Amanda and your mother sitting?
You see those steps?
I'm pointing, these steps right here?
Yes, those.
And so they were just sitting on the steps?
Mm-hmm.
All right, what were they talking about when you walked up?
Oh, I don't know what they were talking about. I know what I was talking about.
Okay. What about Scott? Where was Scott?
He was not right there. I don't know where he was at the time. I don't remember. I don't know. I didn't know. You know, I hadn't talked to my brother.
So nobody was sitting on the back porch. Y'all never went back there?
Nobody was sitting on the back porch.
Okay. So where did you walk?
Now we're beating on the keyboard instead of using the mouse.
I walked into the kitchen first.
This is the kitchen, right?
Yep. I mean, that's where the door kind of goes in, right there.
Right, and this is
you turn right to the kitchen.
This is what the kitchen looked like that day. I gotta ask you a question. Do you smell any detergents or Cloroxes or anything like that?
I don't remember that. No.
Okay. And this would have been the dining room.
Yeah, that's the formal dining room.
And this kind of behind where this orchid plant is, that'd be the door going down to the basement?
Correct, sir.
Did you walk where did you go in the house?
Well, I walked in, you know, and I remember going to the kitchen, and then I'm thinking I need to find my dad's wallet, because that would tell if he's still possibly here or not. It would give a tell if he wouldn't leave the house without his wallet.
Right.
You know, he's missing. I'm trying to figure out where he's at.
Right.
That tells me, well, if his wallet's here, then
because
he should be here.
And you've talked about, a number of witnesses have kind of talked about that your dad would just kind of go sometimes and be gone for a period of time. Meaning he was at work, he just didn't tell everybody where he was at. Maybe go to Birmingham.
Yeah. No, I mean, he wouldn't text us every day and say, "Hey, this is my plan for the day."
He was kind of independent guy.
Right.
Right. Kept to himself a lot. His world was small outside. He had his big business world.
He was pretty introverted
but he was
at home.
introverted.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was kind of his domain was in that basement. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you went down to the basement, right?
Well, I went to the garage first to look in the Mercedes.
Right. Are you aware, this is shocking, but nobody's ever taken a picture of your dad's Mercedes for this case. Nobody. To see if that wallet was in the Mercedes or anything that was in that Mercedes. It was never taken.
Well, the picture I just saw is while it's sitting on the counter.
Okay, but nobody took a picture of his Mercedes.
Okay.
This is your dad's. Was this just kind of a formal library, but nobody actually used it?
I don't know.
It's very nice. I don't know.
I never sat in there. I would sit in there and look at like old yearbooks or just look at. I mean, there's tons of like all my yearbooks are in there. We had a lot of things in there. But I never spent hours sitting in there, or knew anybody who did.
So you walk downstairs. I'm trying to get there as soon as I can. Is there a way, Megan, to get just a screen of all the pictures? My constant inability to use technology will never cease to amaze. That's what I need. Thank you so much. You. I promise I'm going to take a class someday. Okay. So this is the kind of living room area downstairs, yes?
In the basement, correct.
In the basement?
Yes, sir.
Did you go down there?
Yes.
And as you were walking around down there, did you ever see any blood?
No.
Did you see a bullet?
No.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask you this. Are you aware? Now, at what point did Scott come up to you and tell you that a gun was missing?
He never came up to me and said a gun's missing. He just kind of was talking about it. That's what I testified to yesterday.
Well, I'm asking you again because sometimes...
Yeah, he never pulled me aside and said, "Hey, I have this gun." Like, he was saying it for everybody knew.
So Amanda was right there.
Oh yeah,
Mom, right there.
Yeah.
Was that when you first came up?
No, I remember him saying that. This is after what we discovered in the burn pile, and from what I remember, after 911 had been called. From what I remember.
Okay. And did you hear your brother say something to the effect of, I was in Afghanistan or Iraq. He was in Iraq, correct? And I know what burned bodies look like.
I don't remember him saying that, but I think he told me he had said that, or somebody told me he had said that.
I mean, were you standing there when he was calling 911? Because he told 911 that.
Yeah, no, because he said, when he said, get the girls out of here, I'm calling 911, I got the girls out of there.
Right.
Yeah, so I didn't hear his actual conversation with 911.
So are you aware that your brother Scott says that there was a revolver of some variety in that drawer right there?
Yes.
That he found it. Now, again, going back to and the statement you said earlier, and I'm going to ask you the question, and the jury can hear the answer. But Grandma loves those grandchildren. How ridiculous is it that Grandma would leave a gun in open access for children to have access to?
Well, I sure wouldn't do it.
But your mom wouldn't either.
I don't know that.
You know her.
I'm her firstborn son. I know her.
Did you ever hear the story of the year before when she made sure that when Scott had surreptitiously left the .32 in the barn, that she made sure it was moved up high so that those kids could never touch that gun in a barn?
I never heard that story.
And this, just because you're more familiar with the basement and the basement arrangement, these candles, is this glass holding up these candles?
It appears to be glass. I mean, you can see through it. I doubt they're plastic.
And that's a glass table?
It is, sir.
And this is fine leather furniture.
And
your mother had the finest furnishings.
She had very good taste.
And when you were down there, nothing seemed out of place.
It didn't.
Nothing was broken.
Nope.
And then back to the dining room. These are fine silk chairs, are they not?
They are, I guess. I mean, I guess they're silk. You say so. I'll agree to that.
It was your mama's house. I just didn't know if you'd ever sit there for a holiday or
I'm not much on fabrics.
But it was a fabric chair.
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay. And these are fine, ornate lamps. Wouldn't you agree?
They're very nice.
All these furnishings. But nothing was broken. Nothing was out of place. You were there the weekend before.
Yeah, no, nothing.
Okay. So you would agree with me that it's a bit absurd that the state is contending that that is where your mother shot your father. You would agree that's absurd?
I don't agree with that, no. I don't know where she shot my dad. I don't know if she shot my dad.
You don't know it. You don't know if.
Yeah,
you don't know.
I didn't see anybody do anything to anybody.
But you were the first man on the scene there, one of the first.
Yeah.
Nothing out of place.
Nothing was out of place, sir.
Same view in the basement, because that's also where the state is maybe contending where she shot your dad. Nothing out of place.
Right. I wasn't looking for bullets. I was looking for my dad's wallet. I was looking for my father.
Okay. Did your
in that order
ex-wife? When did y'all get a divorce, Jenna?
Our divorce was final in December of 2021.
Okay. And are you aware that she did an interview back in 2018, and she ended that phone call very oddly with, "I'm done talking." Can I be done now? Did you ever know that? Were you in the room when she was talking to Cock and Dog?
Nope.
Okay. And she never brought up any time ever seeing a gun. Did you find out later that all of a sudden she made up like she saw a gun? Or do you know that at all?
No.
Okay. But again, when you went downstairs, nothing out of place. You went to his room?
I did.
CPAP machine was there. Did you check that?
I didn't check it. Like I didn't register in my mind to see if the CPAP was there. At that time, no.
So, I'm going to ask you this. So you guys start then combing out across the property. You said you went out to the barn. Did you notice anything in the barn out of place?
No, sir.
Did you smell any cleaning chemicals in the barn?
No, sir.
Did you ever see the tractor?
No, sir.
There are a certain number of family members that know where the tractor normally is and things like that, but you wouldn't have been that guy. You didn't know that guy.
No, I didn't. No.
Okay.
I didn't know how to drive tractor.
Right.
You didn't know how to drive the tractor?
Did you look through the barn? Did you go up to Scott's apartment?
I don't remember if I would assume I did, but I don't remember exactly.
So let's talk about Scott.
Okay.
We're almost done. We're getting close to lunch. I know the jury's getting hungry, and so am I. So are you.
We're getting close to talking to Scott.
Scott was in the military.
Yes, sir.
What was his duties in the military?
He was infantry. I know he drove a Bradley, which is a armored vehicle.
Okay. Do you know any details about his service?
No. I mean, I know, I don't know the name of the town in Iraq where he was stationed. But I remember, him kind of telling me about it. I mean, he would call me from over there and say, check in, briefly. But I probably can't give you the most details about his exact service. Like day-to-day type thing.
Did he ever mention, because he mentioned to 911 and the number of law enforcement in this case, that he knew what a burned body looked like? Did he ever mention any stories, any situations in Iraq?
No. I never asked.
And that's not unusual for vets.
Yeah.
But he's mentioned it, and so that's why I was asking you, since you guys are much closer.
Yeah. No, I never asked him, and I didn't want to ask him about that. I just if he wanted to tell me anything like that, that'd be fine, but no, we never talked about that.
But your brother, being in infantry division, was obviously well trained in firearms.
Oh, yeah.
And had a number of firearms.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask you this. Did you ever know of your brother having a revolver?
No.
All right. Did you ever know of your brother having a .357 stolen from him while he was living in Columbus?
I know his apartment in Columbus got broken into, but I don't know what was stolen.
What proof of that do you have?
Because I remember I went with my mom down there, and there was something. He told me about it. That's all.
He told you about it?
He told me about it.
That's it?
That's it.
Did you know that Scott was married?
Well, I found that out eventually.
So he hid that from the family?
He hid it from me, I know.
So when did you find out that Scott got married while he was in the military?
Sunday. What is that? 8th? I can't see that
Sunday.
far.
I'll help you. My eyes are about the same way.
Yeah, let's say I can see a little bit. Sunday the 8th.
So that's Sunday, July the 8th, 2018. You found that your brother had been married and divorced. We believe. I don't know for sure.
Guess we'll find out.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there were some things you didn't know about your brother.
Sure.
Right? And Did you know that almost for your brother to do anything on that farm, he had to ask your dad for the debit card? Every time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know every time, but...
Would it shock you if I showed you text message after text message?
It wouldn't shock me that if he needed a debit card. But I don't know if he had a card that did, like an account for the farm. I don't know. I mean, that was never discussed with me.
Would it shock you that your brother, Scott, so it was his trail cam out there. Did you ever go see the trail cam?
No.
When you guys were walking the property, would it shock you that the last picture before the input that says delete is your brother Scott walking away from that trail cam? Would that shock you?
No. I mean, why would it shock me?
It wouldn't shock you that your brother deleted the trail cam the day you were looking for your father?
I mean, I don't know when that happened. If it was before, I don't.
No,
really
I'm talking right about 1 o'clock when you guys have called 911.
Right.
That he thinks to go to the trail cam and hit delete.
Yeah, I don't.
That's shocking, isn't it?
I don't really know the context of it, how that happened.
Wow.
Did you know your brother had a drawer full of 38 special bullets?
Yeah, he told me.
Yeah, and he had...
After this all happened.
Like how long after?
It was a while after. It was like a year, and we were just talking about things, and he said, yeah, I had some 38 caliber ammunition. It was some of it, it was kind of like a junk drawer, and my friends... One of my friends, because his buddies would come over and shoot at the farm, and they would bring their guns, and he's like, yeah, that's where that ammunition came from.
Like tactical shooting. Did you ever see him do any drills of tactical shooting? Like on Facebook?
Oh, yeah. Well, I noticed he would kind of, I mean, he was, how would you say, his form was, he'd be like kind of walking, things like that. So at tactical shooting, I remember seeing a video of him.
You've seen him do it? Yeah. He's pretty good at it, you'd say.
Scott's always, we used to go hunting and stuff. He's always been a good shot.
In the multiple interviews that you had in this case, I mean, there's things, Chris, I got to tell you, you're a pretty smart guy. You are. And you could see you along the way. You could see you along the way questioning even things that even the police weren't questioning. They asked you, how could your mother have moved your dad? And you just, I don't know. I don't think there's any way. Someone must have helped her.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you said. Do you remember saying that?
Oh. I don't remember saying that, but I don't think it's unreasonable that I might have said that.
Okay. Well... Because, and I'm not going to convince you. I'm not trying to convince you of this. It's this jury right here that I'm mostly concerned about.
Sure, I understand.
But let's just legitimately talk about this. Your dad was how big?
I mean, he's bigger.
Because you're tall, but you're skinny.
I mean, I'm skinny. That's like crazy here, but
how much
my dad was a big man.
How much do you weigh?
Right now, I weigh 245 pounds.
All right. How much did you weigh in 2018?
Probably probably about the same. Maybe 235, maybe, I fluctuate between 230 to 245, 250.
Let's talk about your brother. He's bigger than you, right?
He's taller than me.
Yeah? How much does he weigh?
I don't know. I bet, I don't know. I've never talked to him about how much he weighs.
Y'all are all big. Y'all are big dudes.
Right.
Okay. So, but he's probably, if he's taller than you, it's reasonable to say he's between 250 and 300 pounds.
Sure.
Okay. And your dad was about how tall and how much did he weigh?
I would say anywhere, he's my height, around 6'4", and he probably weighed, anywhere from 280 to 300 pounds, I would say.
On the heavier side, wouldn't?
Yeah.
Okay. So you were questioning even Hayes and Kuykendall. How could my mom do this? You don't have an answer to that, do you? Because how much does your mother weigh?
Maybe between 100 and 120 pounds, or I don't know how much she weighs now. I mean, but at the time, maybe somewhere between that. I don't know.
She's a little lady.
Never asked her.
How tall is your mama? She's a little lady.
5'5".
You told the jury yesterday that when you left that evening, I mean, there was a lot of things that maybe you even blacked out on that day. It was a long day. I understand that. But you told the jury yesterday that as you were leaving, you couldn't even get a tank of gas because your checking account had been bounced.
Not well. I can't remember if it was bounced or if it was like a security holder. I went. It said please see cashier, and I looked. I don't remember exactly what, but yeah, I think I told. I wasn't able to use it. Let's just put it that way. And I didn't have a credit card on me.
Why did you, as time went on, you became the temporary executor of the estate and you lost it? Why did you lose that? Why was that taken from you?
I don't think it was necessarily, from what I remember, I don't think it was taken. It was just kind of agreed upon because obviously my sister Amanda and my mother were very much opposed to that of me. And so she had an attorney.
Wasn't it?
But I don't remember if it was taken from me or if we just all kind of agreed like, okay, let's just do.
Did Barry Bishop or Jeff Rustbridge ever tell you it was because of your inability to manage the assets of the estate?
Nobody ever told me
that you were losing assets of the estate.
No, Barry Bishop and Jeff Rustbridge. I mean, we had a conversation that basically said, well, your mother is accusing you of doing these things, and I said, I have no access to the funds of the estate. It's all frozen.
Your Honor, if I may have one brief moment.
So he was the executor, but he couldn't do anything. It's his story, and the attorney is trying to say you didn't do anything, so they took it from you.
Yesterday, you said something that struck me, and I think it's important that I get your words right. You said something to the effect, Ms. Frankish asked you a question about the finances and your father passing. And I believe you said his kids would financially gain if he died.
Well, I mean, it's just a matter of fact. If your parents pass away, the money, like I have a will too. I have if something was to happen to me, my kids would, get what I have. I have life insurance, but both of my daughters' names on it.
I believe you said that they would be fine. You would be better off financially.
I don't remember saying that,
but you would be financially better off.
If what?
If you were to get the estate in this case, because it's still held up.
Like
correct?
Right now?
Like nothing. Nothing's been able to access because, of course, this case is going on.
Yeah. No, I mean, nothing's been accessed at all.
Right.
So, I mean, it's.
So you would financially benefit if your mother is convicted of murder.
I haven't thought of it.
I guess you could say that.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Hi, Ms. Frazier.
Thank you, Judge.
Spicy ending.
I want to talk about your mom a little bit. When you guys would have family gatherings, where would you find your mom? What would she be doing for the family?
She was usually in the kitchen.
Was that kind of like her domain? She liked to cook?
Yeah, I mean, she was always cooking at family gatherings. That was.
Would she cook for your dad too?
Oh yeah.
Mr. Weaver brought up guns quite a bit. Do you know anything about guns?
A little bit. You know, I had a couple guns I bought in 2020 and 2021. I have gotten to the hobby of shooting. You know, I'd go to the shooting range, and I had a buddy who managed the shooting, I think it's the shooting alley or Quick Shot in Buckhead, so he wouldn't charge me he'd just let me come, so, yeah.
Do you know enough to know the difference between a revolver and like a semi-automatic pistol?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you ever know anybody in your family? Now, when I asked you this question, we already know about the 32, the older one in the barn. Did you know about that one?
Yeah.
Whose was that?
That was my grandfather's.
Okay. And did he have other kinds of pistols?
Yeah. Yes.
What did he have? Do you know?
I just remember him, because I spent a lot of time up in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Okay, so when he would close the hardware store, he armed himself, and it was almost like a shoulder. I don't know what the word is. Forgive me, but it's like a holster where you kind of put it around your arm, not around your waist, but kind of like, I don't know what that's called.
Like a backstrap type.
Right, and he had a revolver.
But you didn't know what kind.
I didn't know what kind. No.
When Scott's guns got stolen, around what year was that?
He would have just been back. If you can give me just a second to think about it.
Before 2012?
I would say probably so. Yeah.
Before 2016?
Yeah, I mean, because he was at Benning when he got back from Iraq. Like, he was stationed there. You know, he had an apartment there.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You don't have to ask.
Chris, I just want you to look at this and read it to yourself before I ask you some questions about it.
Refreshing his memory, apparently.
What kind of pistol?
Okay, to yourself.
To yourself, not out loud. Guess we're just showing him laptops. This court is loosey-goosey with the rules.
Does that appear to be a text message between you and your brother, Scott?
Yes.
State moves to enter into evidence C. Ferris 1.
No objection.
If you could, well, I'm going to come back up to you because I don't have another copy of this. If you could read this to the jury.
You're admitting the laptop?
On 7/10/2016 at 11:53 a.m., it looks like I texted my brother, "What kind of pistol do you have?" ? On 7/10/2016 at 12 p.m., he texted me, "I don't have one." Or don't have one. There's no I. It's just don't have one.
Thank you. Chris, do you recall ever seeing a revolver in any of the homes, in your Alpharetta home or the farm?
Yeah. I saw a revolver other than the 32 at my parents' house in Alpharetta. The Hampton Hall house, Ridgehaven Run, the house they lived in before the farm.
And where did you see that?
It was on the counter in the kitchen.
Do you know why it was there?
I don't know why. I had come over and it was sitting there. And I grabbed it and because it was just sitting out, and I grabbed it and I put it on top of the fridge. And it was like a longer burger basket was up there, and I put it up there. Yeah.
And was that did you say what kind of gun that was?
It was a revolver.
And have you ever seen it since then?
No, sir. No, ma'am. Sorry, me.
That's okay. Did you ever ask either of your parents about it?
I don't remember.
You mentioned that the kids could possibly gain if your dad passed away. Scott was living at the farm, and your dad was funding his life. Is that true?
Sure, yeah.
when your dad passed, who did the farm go to?
My mother.
So if your dad had passed, Scott would essentially be homeless.
Yes.
And your mom was the beneficiary of your dad's 401k?
Correct.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Very briefly. As to the gun back at the Hampton Hall house, what did it look like?
I remember it being like kind of like a shiny metallic. You know, like the metal of the gun?
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like shiny. And I almost remember it having like a, almost like an ivory handle to it.
Old gun?
Ivory
Maybe.
handle?
I don't know. I'm not a gun.
Not a gun guy.
Not a gun history person. You know, I know some stuff, but yeah.
Long nose or short nose?
Short nose.
Okay. And you know you've never
What's the
told
barrel
anybody
like?
in any
Short
of your
barrel.
interviews this before, right?
I don't know that.
Now you do.
That's all I have, Jeff. Wait, hold on. Mr. Ray says I got something else. That's all I have.
He's not going to ask the question. All
Hey,
right.
sit down.
We're going to take a break, I think.
We got a 20-minute witness.
We do.
Okay, let's bring them all in.
You know me.
State House Jenna. Formerly Ferris.
Hey, yo. Stayed up the stretch.
It's already
Why did it stop recording? Because it's full. That's why. All right. Talking about schedule over there.
Judge, Mr. Weaver is informing me she may be longer than I'm anticipating.
We'll get through your direct and then
Okay.
we can break.
And that's fine. I just don't want to hold you guys up.
Oh, ma'am, if you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in the matter now pending before the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes. Okay, you can have a seat. And if you could, please introduce yourself to the jury and spell your first and last name for the court order.
My name is Jenna Pawlowski, Jenna. Last name Pawlowski.
Thank you. And are you formerly Jenna Ferris?
Correct.
Okay. Were you married to Chris Ferris for a period of time?
That is correct.
How long?
About 6 years, almost 6 years. We were together for 13 years total.
Together for 13 total? And what years were you married?
2015, separated 2021 in April, and finalized divorce December 2021.
If you could, you have a very soft voice. If you could please speak up just a little bit so all of the jurors can hear you. Okay. So you were married to Chris when his father was murdered. Is that
correct?
Okay. What I want to talk about is we have a calendar up there. Essentially that week, that first week in July. And you and I have spoken briefly before today, right? Okay. Okay. So, do you remember what you did on Monday, July 2nd of 2018?
Monday, I believe I was at work. Yeah.
Where did you work at the time?
Cooper Carey, architecture firm.
And did you have normal work hours?
8:30 to 5:30. It's downtown Atlanta.
And did the girls plan to come into town, Ella and Addison?
Yes.
Okay. And did you have a good relationship with them?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
What day were they planning to come into town?
I don't remember the day.
Okay.
Exactly. I had just started that job about a year prior, so I remember working a lot that week and having the 4th as a holiday.
Okay.
But I do not remember what day exactly they were coming in.
So if the day of the 4th was the day of the pool party, the day before that would be the 3rd.
Right.
Were they there on the 3rd?
I don't remember.
Okay. Do you remember talking to law enforcement at any point during the investigation of this case?
Only on the phone. Maybe within that week. On that weekend, that Saturday, I think, I was with my friend Carrie and her 2 nieces that were around the same age as Ella and Addie, and we had them at the pool, and I got a call from someone about the case, and they questioned me about Chris's whereabouts and where we had dinner, and that was the last time I heard anything.
Okay. During that interview, would you say your memory would have been better of that week?
Absolutely.
Okay, so if the girls were there on the 3rd, and you said that they were there on the 3rd in that interview, would that be accurate?
Yes, okay. Definitely.
So let's go into the night of the 3rd, the evening of the 3rd. Did you work on the 3rd?
I think so,
Okay.
yes.
So after work, when you came home, do you remember seeing Ella or Addison at your condo with Chris?
I believe yes, I remember seeing them. I know Ella wanted to go up to the farm, and I can't remember if she was already there or not. But I believe Addie, Chris, and I got dinner that night.
Do you know where you got dinner? You can just name a city if you don't.
It was around our condo in Buckhead where we lived. It was Asian. I don't know if it was sushi or some kind of Asian food, I think. I can't remember.
How long was your dinner that night?
Poke bowl?
Typical, maybe an hour or so. We didn't get any alcohol. It was one of those places I think you order and just sit down, or it's pretty in and out, quick.
Okay.
So,
what did you do after dinner?
as far as I can remember, from 6 years ago, I went home, back to the condo.
Okay. Do you remember if you went home alone and Chris and Addison went to go do something, or did you go do something with them after dinner? Maybe get ice cream?
I don't remember.
Okay. But that night, did you all stay at the condo?
Yes.
The 3 of you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Was it typical for Addison to sleep with you when she came to stay?
Yes.
Okay, why is that?
We just had a king-size bed, and I don't know, she just liked sleeping next to me.
Where would Chris sleep?
In the other bedroom.
In the other bedroom?
Mm-hmm.
So the next day was the 4th of July. Peachtree Road Race was happening.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get up and go watch the Peachtree Road Race?
Yes, I remember waking up. It was maybe 7, 8, 9, somewhere in that time, maybe around 8. And we walked up, because we lived in Buckhead, so we lived off Peachtree. So we walked up and watched the race go by, handed out waters and drinks, and watched everyone.
Who's we?
Addison and I and Chris was kind of, I can't remember exactly, but I don't think he walked up with us at first, but He was there.
He was there, and maybe you guys met him there.
Right.
So we're on the 4th, the morning of the 4th. After the Peachtree Road race, do you remember what you guys did?
No, I really don't. I want to say we went to the pool. Other than that, there's really nothing that sticks out was any different than any other 4th of July.
Sure. When you were at the pool, was it you, Chris, and Addison?
Yes.
Did Chris and Addison leave at any point?
I really don't remember.
Do you remember you and I talking about those days?
Yes.
On Zoom? We met.
Yes.
Chatted on Zoom?
Yeah.
Okay. And did I tell you what to say or anything?
No.
How to answer questions?
No.
Okay.
No.
And we talked about in 2018 on the 4th of July, Chris taking Addison to the farm.
Right.
Would that sound?
Yes, because Ella was there and she wanted to go up there too.
Ella was up north at the farm.
Somewhere up there.
Somewhere. Okay, and that's okay that you don't remember all these details.
Yeah,
So, do you remember, was it afternoon, evening, nighttime when Chris and Addison went up to the farm?
I believe late afternoon, possibly into the evening.
How long were they gone?
Not long, it was maybe a 45, 50-minute drive from Buckhead up there. So about whatever, double that. I would imagine he dropped her off and said hi to someone, or he came right back.
Chris came back?
Yes.
Was Addison with him?
No.
So then what did you and Chris do when he came back?
We hung out with our neighbors where we lived and just shot off some fireworks. They shot off some fireworks in the parking lot. That was it. Stayed around our condo.
Did Chris ever leave again that night?
On the 4th?
Yes.
No.
Did he leave
That's
the
his
house the
alibi.
night of the 3rd?
To drop Addison off?
After dinner, did he ever leave again?
Not that I knew or heard or, no.
So on the 4th, you guys just went to bed?
Yep.
And then, did you have to work the next day on the 5th?
Yes.
Okay.
I remember that.
So, what happened on the 5th that stands out in your mind? Did you get a phone call?
Yes. So I was at work, and it was about 12:30, give or take. And Chris called me, and all he said was, "You have to come to the farm right now and get the girls."
And what did you do?
I said, "Is everything okay?" And all he did was repeat the exact same sentence. And I said, which was, "You have to come to the farm and get the girls." And so I left. I told my boss at the time, I had an emergency, I have to go. So drove up there, was extremely worried and crying, and called my mom and told her, wasn't sure what was going on. And I got a text message that said, "My dad is gone." And
from who?
From Chris. As I was exiting off 400, and I just started crying. And I got to the farm, and there were tons of people everywhere. And my only focus, I was driving my Camry, my only focus was just to protect Ella and Addie and make sure Chris was okay. And I had no idea what was going on. I don't think he knew either. He was visibly shaking. He was so distraught.
Chris.
His voice was shaking. He was just in shock, I could tell. In complete and utter shock. I had no idea what had happened. So all I did, I took the girls, and Ella and Addie were sitting there, Addie was very quiet. She didn't have her phone with her. Ella kept asking, what's going on? What happened? Why won't anyone tell me what happened? And then that's when Kendall Lee called me, the girl's mother, and talked on the phone with Ella and explained. She wasn't on speaker, but I still heard her, said, Ella, Big Daddy's no longer with us. And Ella sat there. And at this time, we had kind of pulled over off the driveway. And Ella just was on the phone, said, okay. And after that, I really don't remember what we talked about, but I took them back to Buckhead, to our condo. And from that day forward, when they were here, I just wanted them to have a normal, be kids. And we took them to Main Event, we took them to just things like that, Cheesecake Factory, and I just wanted them to get away from all of that and not have to worry about that and enjoy their summer. And unfortunately, they couldn't really be with their dad because he was having to deal with all of this. So,
did you also bring Cameron back with you?
Yes, yeah, she came. She came with us too. Mm-hmm.
So after that, did you see Melody again?
Yes.
When?
I'm trying to remember. She was in our condo unit in the hallway. I don't remember why or which day, but she gave me a hug and was hugging the girls, and that's really all I can remember. I don't know why, the circumstances, who was doing what.
Sure. Did she say anything to you that stood out that time?
She said, I can't believe this is happening to our family. And it was just a very weird feeling. I just, ever since I picked the girls up and had been, I don't know, it was just a weird feeling. It's just something did not sit right overall, just with everything.
Did Melody ever confront you and Chris about money, owing her money?
Yes. So after everything not calmed down, but I think about a couple weeks later, she started text messaging me about bills that Gary had paid for, like our Comcast bill at the time. Did I know about them? And I said no. That was basically it.
Okay.
And it was things that she was saying, I can tell you more, I can show you more, and show you what's going on, or something like that. I don't remember the exact wording, but it was things like that that I just wanted to avoid and get away from. I just did not want to be involved unless I needed to.
When you and I met, you had some information that you thought people needed to know, but you didn't get the opportunity to say back in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Okay. So I sort of just asked you, okay, what is that information? So at any point, well, let me ask you this. In the weekend prior to the first week of July, so June, was it Gary's birthday?
We were celebrating his birthday and Father's Day, I think, all kind of on that, whatever day we were there, Saturday or Sunday.
Okay, so prior to?
Yeah. It was late June.
Late June. And at that gathering, I will say, did you and Melody hang out with each other and converse?
Not specifically to be alone, but we were, I don't remember where, I think we were walking outside in the basement, towards the basement, the double doors out there. So I think, I want to say there was something in the kitchen that maybe was redone or remodeled, or there was something new down there that I was looking at, or she wanted me to look at, I think. I can't remember why, but.
And what stood out to you about that encounter?
Well, I walked down there and the whatever credenza, I don't remember exactly where, but she opened the drawer and she said, "This is my granddaddy's gun." And I said, or revolver, and I said, I don't even remember what I said because it was so, I don't know why. I don't know why, but I just kept moving on.
And when we met, I showed you a couple of photos. What room in the house was this?
This was the first room when you walk down to the basement.
And when we met, I showed you a couple of photos so you could identify. May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Okay.
I'm showing you states Thrasher 45 and defense exhibit Thrasher D1. Are these similar to the images that I had showed you?
Yes.
Okay. And is that piece of furniture in either of these photos?
Yes.
Which photo?
I want to say this first one, the kitchen to the left.
Is that Thrasher 45?
Yes, Thrasher 45.
Publish that one real quick so you can.
Okay.
This is the picture that has the little desk in the background, I think. If we can see that one again. It's like the glass coffee table with the glass candlesticks.
This is the photo you
different
identified?
one, completely different.
Yes.
Okay, and which piece of furniture did Melody open to show you the gun?
The wooden cabinet on the left.
Do you know much about guns?
No.
Do you know was it a long gun, short?
Shorter.
What did it look like?
It was kind of curved.
Sure. What was the color?
I want to say like a silver color. I don't remember.
Do you know the difference between a semi-automatic pistol, like what police carry, versus like a cowboy gun?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Which one did it look like?
Like the cowboy one.
The cowboy one?
Mm-hmm.
And when we met, did I show you 3 different photos of a cowboy gun?
Yes.
3 different versions? And did you identify one that it may have looked like?
Yes.
Okay.
So you gave her ideas of what it looked like, and she said, it looks like that one. Curved handle, that's the revolver.
State moves to admit J. Ferris 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
Well, these are the 3 pictures.
I'm going to show you.
Wouldn't go out. But
Right.
We'll deal with that later. All right.
One of them is.
We'll deal with that later.
Yes. That is fine.
We'll kick the jury out.
This is one that I showed you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm going to keep them all up here.
She's struggling
And
with
this
this.
is the other one. And then the third. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. Let me see if I can get
38
that.
special, 357 snub
Okay.
nose, and a
And
32 ACP.
You identified one when we met. Oops. Here we go. Out of 1, 2, and 3, which one did it look like?
Which one's what?
I really don't remember which one.
So when we met, you had sort of mentioned it looked like J. Ferris 2. Would that be accurate?
Mm-hmm.
Again, do you know much about guns?
I really don't.
Do all revolvers may look the same to you?
I didn't even get a great look, and correct, yes. I really have not ever handled any or been around them, ever.
Have you ever seen this gun before?
No.
Did you ever see it again?
No.
And law enforcement, you didn't get the opportunity to tell law enforcement about this. Is that fair?
No. And I was never contacted.
Was the family, did you and Chris have conversations about talking to the police or not talking to the police or anything like that?
It was just mainly him keeping in touch with the detective, and once he was off the phone, he would just update me on what the news story, or not news story, but what happened,
sure.
What was going to happen, what the next steps were, but there wasn't anything that we discussed that wasn't already out there.
That's all I have for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now it's 12. Now it's time
Looks
for
like a good time to break for lunch. Let's go for
2.5 hours.
Yeah, I'll be back at 20 after, so we can be up and running by 1:30. All right.
Okay, it's a short day today. That's good. 20 after. We get an hour and 15-minute break, so we'll be back at 1:15. So this was Jenna is ex-wife number 2, right? Because was it Kendra D or something like that? Was ex-wife number 1. She was the mother to the daughters. So the starter ex-wife has not testified yet. We've just had the latest ex-wife. And I will say that her testimony had very little value for me. Not that I will say she was being truthful, very truthful. Very little value. She doesn't remember the gun. She's not a gun person. She was brought in there to testify about seeing the gun in the house. She can't remember it. Even showing the pictures on there, she's like, I don't know which one it was. I didn't get a good view. That's not good testimony there. Other than the little bit that we can glean is that there was a gun that she did see. And I guess that's enough for the state to say it's worth it to try to drag this out of this witness, because she really doesn't remember. This was not like a huge thing for her. It was just in passing. It does help the testimony that Chris gave earlier, saying there was a gun in the house, a revolver. That's all. Missed her reaction to the judge. How did she react to the judge? Let's see. Let's rewind a little bit. Okay, let's see what her reaction to the judge was here. Just one second.
That's all I have for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
looks like a good time to break for lunch. Let's go for
That was a pretty good reaction. It was a pretty good reaction there.
looks like a good time to break for lunch. Let's go.
Big sigh. So she's happy about being done, I think. It is time for lunch. We get an hour and 15 minutes, which is awesome. We haven't had an hour and 15 in quite a while. Total relief, but she knows that next she gets cross-examined. And honestly, I don't think cross-examination is going to be very hard on her unless they're able to go into areas that the prosecution did not go into, which is, let's talk about Chris. Let's talk about Chris. I think that might be interesting, but she doesn't come across as a talker, one that really either A, remembers a lot of the details of conversations and things that happened, or B, is going to be very talkative about it. So, update the thumbnail, please, says Red Pen. I will do that. We'll update it for the new stream right after lunch, which I will get set up right now. How about that? So let me download the newest stream. We are day 4, part 2 now. It's going to be our after lunch. Okay, give me Canva. let's take a quick peek at the goodness that is our thumbnail that Red Pen has been supervising and I guess doing more than supervising. This is like an active supervision role for you. We've called this the Mountain Dew murder trial, but it could have other names. Could really have other names. Right, it's still loading. It's still loading. Give it a second. It's still popping in. Okay, here we go. George v. Melody Walker Ferris. Oh my goodness, we've got firemen, we've got metal detectors, we've got the star, we've got the credit cards next to the fire pit, we've got the mouse clicks, click in the arrow, we've got Bob, the test dummy who is shot over and over and over, we've got chickens, a participation trophy, because everyone gets one of those, no Christmas trees up there in the background, no tree, ruined Christmas, it's 50 grand you stole it, totally ruined Christmas. We've got the fireworks, we've got the Georgia seal on the barn, that looks great. We've got some goats. We've got the chickens. We've got the dog. Cleaning supplies up there on the porch next to a glamorous. That's Glama up there on the porch as well. What's with the bird? The dead bird. The upside down. I'm not sure about that one. We've got the Ferris wheel. That's interesting. We've got restaurants in the background, tons of restaurants. Oh my goodness, this is the best part. This is my favorite part of this. Hang on one second. Let's zoom in right here, shall we? Let's zoom in right over here. Look at over here. Look at all the restaurants we have in the background. Of course, we've blurred the names to protect the yeah. Wow, that is a good one. Okay, I'm gonna download this so we can. You're going to see how I have to do this. I have to compress the file. I cannot download all the pages. I just want page 1. And done. Download. All right. While that downloads, we will get ready to go to lunch. We need cheese fake. Yeah. The restaurants, we need every name that's been mentioned. So maybe if you know a name that's been mentioned, go in there and add it to page 2 or something, just a list of restaurants, so we can get a list of all the restaurants. I know we've got Cracker Barrel, we've got a Wendy's, we've got some place that had poke balls or poke bowls. I forget. It's either a Chinese game or not. I don't remember. There's a phone call.
Call from Amanda H.
Amanda, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing. Hey, for some reason it's sticking out to me big time. I know we're fixing to go to lunch. Mm-hmm. When Jenna testified, she said that her and Addie went to the race and Chris came later. Chris said totally opposite.
Yes, they remember that a little differently.
That is like sticking out big time to me.
And would that be enough time, perhaps, to put him also in the also could have done it category?
Not could have done it. We could have had a phone conversation.
Yeah.
Because if he was an alcoholic, I mean, I know even if he was in recovery, he always alcoholic. Money talks. I think money talks. Maybe. I don't know. I don't think Melody was in it on her own. If she was.
I'll say this. I get the impression that that Chris is trying to sugarcoat some of the, like, his financial distress, his financial dependence on Big Papa, or whoever it was.
Right, absolutely.
Big Daddy, sorry. Big Papa is like a when you call me Big Papa. That's it's totally different reference.
They actually have a mascara called Big Papa too, just FYI.
All right, so I wasn't talking about that one either. But
yeah, it's just all like nothing's proven to me 100% that Melody did it. I think, you know what, this could be a whole family conspiracy at this point.
They all could be in on it. Okay? Somebody said this in chat. They said, maybe what if everyone was involved and they're all doing this to create reasonable doubt, so nobody can get
exactly.
pinned for
this point. That's where I'm at. Because I'm like, oh no, she didn't. No. I'm all over the place. So, but anyways, I just had to bring that up because that was like a big, I don't know, for some reason that is sticking out in my mind that that's not his account on what happened. So if his is so different than hers, what else has he, doesn't have a good recollection of.
Yeah, it's interesting. Amanda, that's something we can think about while we're watching lunch. Thank you very much for the call. I appreciate it.
Have a good one. Thank you. Bye.
All right, we are going to go to lunch. We've got about an hour now left. We're going to be back. We've got a portal set up, so we'll bring you right back over here. So if you do want to talk about your theories about, if you want to make a list of restaurants so Red Pen can get all the brands there in the background, I think the whole skyline should just be restaurant billboards, restaurant signs. That would be great. Of course, blurring it appropriately so we don't get copyright strikes or, get sued. So, tonight when you go home, please hug the people you love, smile at someone, make their day just a little bit better, and please stay safe till we go live again right after lunch. It will be 1:15, which gives us just over an hour. Portal incoming, so just sit tight. We're going to bring you right over there. We'd love to have you continue the conversation as we get ready. First person in chat over there, as always, wins the internet. If you want that to be you, well, you had to have been there already, because I think we already have a winner. I just don't know who it is yet. Other than that, once again, thoughts and prayers for those people down in Florida who are reeling from just another series of storms, both the tornado and the hurricane that came through, the flooding. It's absolutely crazy. I stayed up way too late watching coverage. That's why I'm a little sleepy today. Please reach out to those. Hopefully everyone gets word from their loved ones down in that area that everything is fine, and as soon as power will be back on, life can start going back to normal. But thank you one and all. All right, be kind to each other. We'll see you right after lunch. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
I saw a chicken fight